This page from Dreamcast Magazine is packed with information on upcoming games. It highlights Power Stone as a supernatural color 3D adventure drama and features Psychic Force 2012 as a pre-release introduction. There is also a special scoop section covering Shenmue, professional baseball team Wo Tsukuru, Let's Make a Pro Baseball Team, and The House of the Dead 2. Further down the page, it mentions other Dreamcast titles such as Real Sound Kaze no Regret, Kita e White Illumination, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Blue Stinger, and Aero Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse. The page also lists Dreamcast Thorough Capture Complete Guide, Sega 2, Sonic Adventure, and Poppin' Music, Goddess World Evolution, in a smaller text section. On the right side, there's an image of framed artwork, possibly concept art, showing a character in red with a pole. Below the image is text indicating the date February 25, 1999, and the phrase, Game World, Pillar Clinging Revolution begins, suggesting a significant event or release date related to the Dreamcast or a game. The page also mentions Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden, Colony Falling Place, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Phantom Blood, New Pro Wrestling 2, and Legendary Spectral Tale 4 in a column, possibly as upcoming titles or features in the magazine. Finally, it mentions AOU 1999 Fastest Report, and indicates this is Volume 9 of the magazine, dated March 12, 1999, and priced at 420 yen. This page is an advertisement for Capcom's Power Stone. It highlights the game as a natural color 3D fighting action title, with easy controls, emphasizing that anyone can do anything. The release date is stated as February 25, 1999, with the tagline, Game World, Pillar Pulling Out Revolution begins, and Game World Chess Thumping Revolution begins. It shows framed artwork of the character Rouge and includes a lineup of characters from the game. The Dreamcast game's price is listed as 5,800 yen, excluding tax. It also features a small advert for the Dreamcast visual memory, priced at 2,500 yen, excluding tax. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Dreamcast console. It highlights the launch date as February 25, 1999, stating that this day marks the beginning of a wall-climbing revolution in the gaming world, implying the Dreamcast will bring about groundbreaking changes and possibilities that were previously unattainable in gaming. The illustration shows a character climbing a wall inside a picture frame, metaphorically representing this overcoming of limitations and reaching new heights in gaming with the Dreamcast. This page is an advertisement for the game Buggy Heat, an off-road racing title for Dreamcast. The advert highlights the game's features including realistic off-road driving, real-time driving motion, and driver development. It mentions that the game has 8 unique AI drivers and cars, and supports 12 players, visual memory, modem play, rumble pack, VGA, and voice control. The advert also promotes a special campaign, where 200 winners can receive original Aero Dancing and Buggy Heat goods, like jackets, caps, and QUO cards. The release date is stated as April 1st. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Aero Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse, an acrobatic flight simulator. It highlights that it's the world's first of its kind, and features the Blue Impulse Air Demonstration Team. The game boasts 360-degree views, and uses real aircraft, supervised by former pilot Nobuhiro Fujiwara. It supports 1 to 4 players and uses the visual memory and modem. It was priced at 5,800 yen, and was released in March 1999. This page is the contents page of the magazine. It highlights the Pioneer Naomi Hot Battle plus AOU feature on page 9, reporting from the Amusement Operators Union AOU show, mentioning SNK, Naomi I System, AM2 Research, and Yu Suzuki's latest works like Ferrari F355 Challenge and New Naomi Information. New game previews are featured, including JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, The Place Where the Colony Fell, and Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling Toukan Retsuden 4. Other games listed are Shenmue, Power Stone, Let's Make a Professional Baseball Team, The House of the Dead 2, and a Dreamcast Hot Information section covering numerous upcoming games such as Psychic Force 2012, Real Sound, Kaze no Regret, Kita e White Illumination, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Morita Shogi and Reversey titles, Space Griffon, Blue Stinger, Arrow Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Buggy Heat, Nanatsu no Haihu, Sengokushi the 6 Nobunaga's Ambition, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, Redline Racer, Puyo Puyon, and Sunrise Ayutan. Finally, the Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide section on page 146 features Sega Rally 2, Sonic Adventure, Pop-Un Music, Divine Seiki Evolution, and Sengoku Turb. This page is the Game Index, listing titles for both Dreamcast and Sega Saturn. Dreamcast games featured include Arrow Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Kita E, White Illumination, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, Psychic Force 2012, The House of the Dead 2, a game tentatively titled Sunrise Ayutan, Shenmue, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, a provisional title, Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling 2-Kon Retsuden 4, Sega Rally 2, Sengoku Turb, Space Griffon, Sonic Adventure and Nanatsu no Hikan, Senritsu no Bishu. Further Dreamcast listings include Buggy Heat, Power Stone, Puyo Puyon, Blue Stinger, Pro Yaku Team Otsukuru, Poppin' Music, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, Mahjong Taikai 2 Special, and Morita's Saikyu Shogi and Reversey titles, Real Sound, Kaze no Regret, and Redline Racer. Sega Saturn games mentioned are Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Secret Album, Kis Yori, Xianjian Kixia Zhuan 2, Derby Stallion, Dungeons & Dragons Collection, and Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3, Tabidachi no Uta. There are also special sections covering Dreamcast peripherals and Sega Saturn magazine content, including a special report on Derby Stallion for Sega Saturn. This page highlights a Sega Saturn Special Edition console called the Debista version, which will be released on March 25th. This is a limited edition version of the console bundled with the horse racing simulation game, Derby Stallion. The special edition features an original color and comes with Debista special stickers and original packaging. It mentions this is a rare item for collectors and may be priced higher. The page also announces the Sega Saturn to Kill campaign, which has started. This campaign includes the Sega Saturn versions of the games Devicer, Kiss Yori, Kiss, and Suzumiya Haruhi no Ososhitsu. By purchasing these games, customers can receive special trading cards as a bonus. The page shows images of the Sega Saturn console and controller, along with game screenshots of horse racing and anime-style characters, likely related to the campaign and the mentioned games trading cards. This page features several news articles. Firstly, there's a report on SNK showcasing the Neo Geo Pocket Color console and games like King of Fighters R2 at a special event, highlighting its Dreamcast connectivity and new game elements. Next, an article focuses on Atlus's Dreamcast title Demon Sword X, known internationally as Soul Hackers, and its innovative use of 3D voice recording, with voice actors using dummy head microphones to create immersive sound. Another news piece announces Konami becoming an official sponsor of the Japanese Olympic Committee, emphasizing their commitment to sports games and the Olympic series. Finally, there is coverage of the Dreamcast VM handheld game Gamera Dream Battle, set for release on March 25th, priced at 2,980 yen, highlighting its monster battles, gameplay mechanics, and the included Gamera mascot figure. This release ties in with the movie Gara 3, Evil God, Iris Awakening. This page features a variety of news and announcements. Namco has decided on the mascot names, Utsuchi and Mochi, for their popular arcade game, Tengo Kuri Shooting, and downloadable image data is available from Namco's website. There's a shop announcement for a Hinamatsuri celebration for Ri Kohran from Sakura Wars on March 3rd at Taisho Ichirodo in Ikebukuro, Gigo, with sales of Chinese goods like sweets and mahjong tiles. In a present section, the Macross 7 Box Fire ILDBOX set, containing episodes 1 to 26 of Macross 7, was released on February 25th, and includes a special compressed towel as a bonus item. An event section announces an event for Kurabayashi Minami at HMV Shinjuku South Store on February 9th, celebrating her new single, Spring Impression 99 Volume 1, Haru ni Natara, and her first album, OK OK, is scheduled for release on March 5th. For goods, the Teku Teku Angel pedometer toy is being upgraded to Teku Teku Angel Do on March 5th, featuring a slimmer design, more characters, and new functions like alarms and minigames. Finally, Ami Suzuki has been chosen as the new image character for Kodak, following her 98 Japan Record Awards New Artist Award. with Kodak aiming to create a fresh brand image with her. This page is a report from the February AOU Amusement Expo, focusing on the new Sega NAOMI arcade board. The article highlights the excitement surrounding NAOMI as a newcomer and the attention it's drawing from the industry and Dreamcast fans. It mentions that SNK is joining the NAOMI platform and includes a quote from SNK expressing their enthusiasm for the NAOMI board's capabilities and potential to create appealing products. The page also features Sega's new racing game for an NAOMI, Ferrari F355 Challenge, showcasing screenshots and featuring comments from AM2 producer Suzuki Yu, emphasizing it as a true driving simulator and a culmination of his racing game experience. The game is presented as a major attraction, allowing players to experience driving a Ferrari. The article suggests high anticipation for its release. This page previews several upcoming games for the NAOMI arcade board. Crazy Taxi, a driving game from Sega, is scheduled for February. Players pick up customers and race to their destinations in a seaside town, featuring exciting gameplay, vibrant graphics, and licensed music. Giant Graham. All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan is a wrestling game allowing players to use wrestlers raised on the Dreamcast. Airline Pilots is a realistic flight simulator developed with Japan Airlines, offering a single-player experience of real aircraft and airports. Finally, Dead or Alive 2, a fighting game from Tecmo, boasts impressive graphics, tag team matches, and new characters, with questions raised about its compatibility and features. This page previews upcoming arcade games, primarily focusing on the Sega NAOMI board. Sega's unreleased Boat Race 2 and Derby Owners Club, a horse racing simulator, are highlighted. Izam's Fortune Telling, a visual fortune-telling game, is also mentioned. The article then discusses popular music games, including Beatmania, Flash Beats, and Jungle Loop. Finally, it features an interview with Tomonobu Itagaki about the development of Dead or Alive 2. The game is about 30% complete, focusing on visual battles and leveraging the NAOMI board's capabilities for detailed 3D character models and backgrounds. Team Ninja is aiming for a wide and deep gameplay experience with considerations for linking arcade data to the home console version. This page presents the Dreamcast's top 10 software sales. Sega Rally 2 tops the list, praised for its 10-year mode and network play. Sonic Adventure follows at number 2, also lauded for its online features and sales. Evolution, the world of Sacred Device, comes in third, exploring the EVO series. Virtua Fighter 3TB is fourth, with steady sales approaching 300,000 units. J-League Pro Soccer Club Otsukuru is at number 5, a launch title with continued sales. Incoming, a shoot-'em-up, is 6th. Sengoku Turb, a role-playing game with positive reviews, is 7th. Godzilla Generations is 8th, capitalizing on monster movie releases. 7th Cross Evolution, 9th, promises an upcoming contest. Finally, Tetris 4D rounds out the list at 10th, featuring a 4-player battle mode. This page reveals the anticipated titles top 30 chart from a reader poll. Shenmue is at the top spot with 601 points, described as still unmissable, with high popularity and focusing on free battle. Grandia 2 is second with 542 points, and there's a question about a fan disc being released similar to Digital Museum from the first game. Biohazard Code, Veronica, is third with 422 points, mentioning new elements like personal belongings and unique zombie enemies. The weekly pickup section highlights Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, The Blue Destiny, in 14th place, noting impressive visuals for the Dreamcast and strategic battle elements. Professional Baseball Team Otsukuru is 25th, mentioning new information and system updates for this baseball management simulation. The ranking table lists games from 4th to 30th place, with their points, developer/publisher, and release dates. Some notable titles include Maken X, The House of the Dead 2, Cyber Troopers Virtual-On Oratorio Tangram, Dino Shokutaku 2, D2, Puyo Puyon, Psychic Force 2012, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Sentimental Graffiti 2, The King of Fighters, tentative title, Kita E White Illumination, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, and Undercover AD2025K. There are also mentions of Japanese wrestling games like Giant Graham 2, Zen Nippon Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan, and New Japan Pro Wrestling 2 Konretsuden 4. The next page showcases two game rankings, the first being the Transplant Hope Top 20, which lists games readers are hoping to see ported to the Dreamcast. At the top of this list, with 302 points, is Rent a Hero, followed by Sakura Wars series with 184 points, and Virtua Striker 2 version 99 with 157 points. Other notable games in this ranking include Final Fantasy series, Daytona USA 2, Knights, Soul Calibur, Spike Out, Black Matrix, and Metal Gear Solid. The article mentions Rent a Hero's popularity and hints at other big announcements soon. The second ranking is the Video Game Income Ranking Top 15, which lists top-earning arcade games. Virtua Striker 2 version 99 tops this chart with 27,143 points, followed by Virtua Fighter 3 TB with 20,192 points, and Denpai Senshi Varion Oratorio Tangram with 11,809 points. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Street Fighter Zero3 are also high up in this ranking. In the weekly pickup section, Street Fighter II Third Strike is highlighted as a Naomi-based title from the AOU show, with talk of new characters, and Crazy Taxi is also featured as a Naomi arcade game slated for a February release, described as an exhilarating driving game where you can ignore traffic laws to deliver customers quickly. A screenshot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is shown, with text mentioning it being a complete transplant and asking about its completion rate. This document outlines the Dreamcast software and hardware release schedule for 1999 and early 2000. Numerous games were planned, with releases spread throughout the year. Notable titles include Marvel vs. Capcom, The House of the Dead 2, Shenmue, and Asterisk Seaman. A wide variety of genres were represented, including fighting, racing, adventure, and sports. Several unreleased games were also listed, such as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Asterisk Resident Evil Code Veronica. Hardware releases included the Rumble Pack and Dreamcast Gun in March 1999, followed by the ASC-2 Mission Stick in April. A fishing controller was planned for later, alongside an unreleased microphone device. Other related products, such as Camera Dream Battle, were also mentioned. This page showcases the Reader's Race 9 ranking of Dreamcast games, reflecting player opinions and scores. Sega Rally 2 tops the chart, followed by Sonic Adventure and Evolution, The World of Sacred Device. Virtua Fighter 3 TB and Sengoku Turbo are also highly rated. The page also features peripheral reviews. The Dreamcast arcade stick is ranked first for its quality, despite some lever issues mentioned by players. The racing controller is second, noted for its gray cable being prone to showing dirt. The Dreamcast keyboard is in fifth place, praised for improving text input but criticized for a limited manual. Collect Godzilla. Giant Monster Assembly is ranked 7th, considered enjoyable for fans of the series but not as innovative as previous titles. Mothra Dream Battle is also previewed, with a question mark ranking, highlighting concerns about a lack of evolution from the previous Godzilla games. Finally, upcoming game titles such as Power Dolls, Detachment of Limited Line Service, and Poppin' Music are listed as waiting for ranking as they have just been released. This page ranks Dreamcast software and peripherals. Sega 2 Inches takes the top software spot, a racing game praised for improved controls and courses, though criticized for online server issues. Kishin World Evolution, also Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, a role-playing game, is ranked 3rd, with fast-paced battles but a potentially low difficulty. Sengoku Turbo, or Sengoku Taisen Turbo, comes in 5th, appealing to those who enjoy character customization and world-building. The peripheral rankings list the arcade stick first, followed by the racing controller, standard controller, visual memory, keyboard, and Dream Passport. The site also features a reader race contest for predicting the ranking of upcoming games, with prizes offered. A special present campaign offers a Dreamcast arcade stick and visual memory set, plus software, to 5 winners. This page is a Dreamcast game review section, featuring 2 games scheduled for release on March 4th. The first game reviewed is Mahjong Taikai 2 Special. It receives an average score of 7.0 out of 10. The review highlights that the game features historical figures as opponents, which is initially interesting. The reviewers note that it's a standard mahjong game, but the Dreamcast's graphical capabilities are well utilized in representing the characters. It's mentioned as a launch title for the Dreamcast, and is recommended for people who enjoy mahjong and want to play with historical figures. The reviewers also point out that the game focuses on enjoying the conversations between characters during gameplay. The second game reviewed is Arrow Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse, scoring an average of 8.33 out of 10. The review notes that while the controls are initially difficult, mastering them is rewarding and fun. The game emphasizes acrobatic flight simulation and missions, aiming for realistic flight. Reviewers praise the beautiful fields and the satisfying feeling of flight and precise controls. It's recommended for those seeking a challenging pilot experience and enjoying acrobatic flight. The overall impression is that it's a well-made flight simulation game, with beautiful visuals and satisfying gameplay once the controls are mastered. This page features reviews for 3 Dreamcast games: Puyo Puyon, Psychic Force 2012, and Puru Puru Pack. For Puyo Puyon, released on March 4th, there are 3 review perspectives. The female user review mentions that even though the core gameplay of Puyo Puyo remains unchanged, new elements and characters are added. The writer review highlights the new special moves and the balance, acknowledging that while powerful, they are not game-breaking, suggesting a fun experience. A guest writer thinks special moves are a handicap, but create fresh gameplay, where matches can be decided quickly. The game is rated 8 out of 10 by all 3 reviewers, who seem to appreciate it as a good addition to the Puyo Puyo series, emphasizing new characters, modes, and the Dreamcast version's enhancements. Psychic Force 2012, also released on March 4th, is described as a complete arcade port, with beautiful graphics and smooth character animations. The review praises the training mode for allowing players to practice advanced techniques. The game receives a score of 7 out of 10, noting occasional slowdowns and longer loading times during story mode, but still recommending it for fans of versus fighting games. Puru Puru Pack, released on March 4th, is an accessory. It's a vibration unit meant to plug into Dreamcast controllers to enhance game immersion through vibration feedback. The review states it is compact, transmits vibrations effectively, and will likely be compatible with many future software titles, and that buying it is a worthwhile purchase to enhance the gaming experience. This page is a Dreamcast special report announcing the upcoming release of the arcade fighting game, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Heritage for the Future, on the Dreamcast. Published by Capcom, the release date and price are yet to be determined, but it is confirmed to be a versus fighting game. The report emphasizes the game's popularity in arcades and expresses anticipation for the Dreamcast version to fully utilize the console's power, promising a more enhanced experience than just a simple port. Screenshots of the game in action are also featured, showing the unique art style and fighting gameplay. The next page is a promotional image for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for Dreamcast. The page features artwork of various characters from the series, including Jotaro Kujo and Dio. The text promotes the game with phrases such as, "Next, it's your turn," and "To defeat Dio for pride," suggesting the game's focus on the battle against the iconic villain, Dio. The text also states, "Released in the cast," which likely refers to the game's roster of playable characters from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure universe. The overall tone is dramatic and action-oriented, typical of the series. This page focuses on the popular arcade game adaptation of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the Dreamcast. It highlights the game being built on the CP System 2i board and emphasizes the visual representation of stands and the characters from the third part of the manga, such as Jotaro Kujo, Joseph Joestar, and Dio, all utilizing their unique stand abilities. The article mentions the game system incorporates new features like tandem attacks and destructible environments, going beyond existing fighting game mechanics. Gameplay screenshots showcase the dynamic fights and the strategic use of stands, including on/off switching and remote operation. The page introduces key characters. Jotaro Kujo, described as the protagonist of Part 3, showcasing his stand, Star Platinum, known for speed, precision, and power. Kakyoe Noriaki, with his stand Hierophant Green, is described as skilled in setting traps and long-range attacks, even able to enter bodies. Jean-Pierre Polnareff, using Silver Chariot, is highlighted as a swordsman Charo-type stand user, known for his agility. The article also delves into Dio's backstory, explaining his origins as a vampire from 100 years ago, his confrontation with Jonathan Joestar, and his modern-day return with stand powers, linking him to the Joestar family lineage and their ongoing conflict. The page title emphasizes the theme of men challenging a powerful evil, represented by Dio and his stand, the world. This page is focused on the Dreamcast version of the game, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It highlights the anticipation for this arcade port plus extra content, emphasizing the improved graphics and gameplay. The article expresses hope that all stand users from the third part of the manga will be included in the game. It also mentions the potential for online versus play and customizable win quotes as desired features for the Dreamcast version. Screenshots show in-game action, and character portraits feature Muhammad Avdal with Magician's Red, Iggy with the Fool, and Joseph Joestar with Hermit Purple. The text describes each character briefly, such as Avdal being an Egyptian fortune teller, Iggy being a proud and uncooperative dog who likes coffee-flavored chewing gum, and Joseph Joestar being Jotaro's grandfather who uses Hermit Purple, a thorny vine stand. This page is an advert for Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes. The game is subtitled Colony's Fallen Land and is a 3D shooting game using the BIC system Battle Integration Control System. It's set during the One-Year War and features in-game cockpit screenshots. Published by Bandai, it's scheduled for release this spring for 6,800 yen. There's also a Special Report section highlighted. This page is focused on a new Gundam Gaiden game, meaning a side story, set in Australia during the One-Year War period. It highlights that this is a continuation of the Gundam Gaiden series that was on Saturn, now moving to the Dreamcast. The game is praised for its high action and original story. The platform is shifting to Dreamcast, and this new Gaiden is starting, set in Australia, an area previously unexplored in Gundam stories, inviting players to create a new page in history. It boasts realistic CG graphics for the mobile suits, showcasing detailed Zaku machine guns and high-quality models. Character design for this game is handled by Motofumi Kobayashi, known as a leading figure in military comics. The game is emphasizing realism in its themes, and Kobayashi's character designs reflect this with a style that is different from typical anime. The page features images of Gundam and Zaku mobile suits, a screenshot from the game, and portraits of 4 characters designed by Kobayashi. The game is likely Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden, Colony Falling Ground, in the end of that century. This page focuses on Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, highlighting how combat has evolved from previous Gundam games. In this new game, players can now directly command their teammates, a significant change from relying on AI-driven allies. The page introduces Master P. Lair, a central character who transitioned from piloting mobile suits to commanding them. He is described as a lieutenant colonel, calm and collected, earning the deep trust of his team, and is known as Lair. The White Dingo Squad is also featured, a special operations unit supporting the main forces. They are described as elite and deployed at the front lines under command. The game's setting is Australia, depicted after the devastation of colony drops, with locations ranging from ruined cities to the backdrop of the Odessa campaign. The environments offer varied terrains and strategic depth. The page mentions 3 main forces: Red Possum, Green Iguana, and Yellow Quokka's death. The game stages range from bases to destroyed urban areas, emphasizing strategic gameplay and destructible environments. This page is about the Dreamcast game Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden, Colony Falling Ground, to the End of a Flash, a Gundam side story. The article is titled, To the Battle That Commands the Unit, and introduces the concept of commanding squads in battle. It emphasizes the importance of teamwork and coordination with comrades, facilitated by features like radar for enemy detection and communication systems. The game features enhanced stage demos and briefings before missions, offering detailed mission explanations and character dialogues with comrades like Maximilian Barrier, Leon Lefier, and Anita Julia, who support the player in battle. The screenshots show in-game cockpit views and cinematic event scenes, highlighting the improved graphics quality. This page is an interview with Hirofumi Inagaki from Bandai about the development of a new Gundam game for the Dreamcast. The concept for the game is described as a real battlefield, aiming for super realism. Inagaki mentions that they had ideas they couldn't realize on the Sega Saturn due to hardware limitations and time constraints, especially with their previous Gundam titles, which were released quickly. The Dreamcast hardware allows them to pursue more realistic ground combat and visuals, going beyond the usual robot anime style to create a more realistic depiction of mobile suits as weapons in a real war. He mentions that the team had already prepared specifications when they decided to join the Dreamcast project and are aiming for super realism in depicting mobile suits in warfare. He discusses the difference between considering mobile suits as robots versus weapons, emphasizing the latter for a more realistic feel. The interview also touches on the history of Gundam games Inagaki has been involved in, starting from Game Boy titles, and mentions titles like Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, Cross Dimension 0079, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, and Saturn Gundam games. He emphasizes his passion for Gundam titles and his commitment to high quality, expressing hope that fans will look forward to this new dream on Dreamcast. The next page focuses on the game Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, which was released internationally. This article is an interview discussing the game's development, setting it in Australia at the site of a fallen colony, specifically Sydney, in the Gundam universe, and how this location is unique as it hasn't been explored much in the Gundam storyline. The developers aimed for a realistic battlefield experience, focusing on the perspective of a regular soldier rather than a powerful hero. Gameplay is described as more tactical and team-oriented compared to previous Gundam games, emphasizing strategic team battles and issuing commands to allied mobile suits. The game is presented as a Gundam simulator, giving players the sense of actually being in a mobile suit. One highlighted feature in the check section emphasizes the realistic movement of the Zaku's Mono-Eye, showcasing the attention to detail in the mobile suit animations and visual effects. Bottom text mentions that this Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story action game series was originally featured as a 3-part series on the Sega Saturn, and Ryo Inagaki was heavily involved in its creation. It also briefly touches upon the exam system and the Blue Destiny units, suggesting connections to other Gundam side stories. The page includes screenshots showing in-game action and UI elements, including a comparison to polygon-based mobile suit battles from games like Mobile Suit Gundam, Char's Counterattack, on PlayStation. This page is about the new action part of the game, Gundam Side Story 0079 for Dreamcast. It highlights 2 key changes in the action gameplay. Firstly, the relative distance to the enemy is now displayed. The targeting reticle shows the enemy's machine name and relative distance, offering players a clearer sense of spatial awareness during combat and aiding in decision-making during lock-on. Secondly, enemy air combat units will now appear. Unlike the previous game where battles were primarily ground-based, this installment introduces air enemies like the DOP Fighter, Dodai, and Magella top tanks, requiring players to be mindful of threats from above. Spotting aircraft early is emphasized as crucial for initiating timely attacks. The screenshots illustrate both of these points, showing the targeting display with distance information and an aerial unit, specifically a DOP, in a combat scenario. This page previews Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes for the Dreamcast, highlighting new gameplay mechanics. The game allows players to utilize shields effectively in combat and even as weapons, expanding strategic options beyond simple defense. A key feature is mission preparation, where players can customize their mobile suit loadout, choosing both weapons and even changing the mobile suit itself before deployment, offering strategic depth. The preview also discusses the Goof's Heat Rod, mentioning the development team's efforts to realistically recreate its wire-like appearance from Mobile Suit Gundam, the 08 THMS team, using polygons. Screenshots showcase in-game views focusing on shield combat, cockpit perspectives, and targeting systems. The developer interview emphasizes the game's ambition to deliver a fresh Gundam experience on Dreamcast, focusing on detailed environments and realistic combat, and confirms the game is about 50% complete as of the Spring Game Show. Readers are invited to experience the game firsthand at the game show. This page is all about the upcoming New Japan Pro Wrestling game for Dreamcast, Field Pro Wrestling. It's being touted as a battle of the heroes and a roaring soul experience. The game promises intense psychological battles with its Pro Wrestling Skill 3 Sukumi system, suggesting a deep and strategic wrestling experience. The page highlights the realistic graphics with in-game shots of wrestlers in action, including a dragon suplex hold. It emphasizes simple controls for both veteran and new players to enjoy the heated battles, capturing the intensity of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the king of sports, on the Dreamcast. This page is about the upcoming Dreamcast game, Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling 2 Konratsuden 4, which is subtitled, Aiming to Conquer the New Japan Mat. This is a special report announcing the game, which is slated for release in July from Tommy, and will support 14 players, rumble packs, and online play. The article highlights a new gameplay mechanic called Pro Wrestling Skill 3 Scramble Rule. The Pro Wrestling Skill 3 Scramble Rule seems to be a core mechanic focusing on reading your opponent's moves. The game uses a rock-paper-scissors style system, where strikes beat throws, throws beat joint locks, and joint locks beat strikes, Screenshots illustrate these matchups. The page also mentions that the Dreamcast version builds on the previous PlayStation versions of the series, particularly Toucan Retsuden 3. A new feature called critical combination is introduced, suggesting that players can perform powerful finishing moves by correctly predicting and countering their opponent's actions, adding a deeper layer of strategy to the wrestling gameplay. The article highlights the Dreamcast's superior graphics in Toucan Retsuden, likely Giant Graham 2000, All Japan Pro Wrestling 3 inches. Particularly its use of 3D scanning to create incredibly realistic wrestlers. This technology allows for detailed recreations of facial expressions, musculature, and bone structure, a significant improvement over the hand-drawn textures of the PlayStation version. Wrestlers like Keiji Muto and Koji Otani are specifically mentioned as examples of the enhanced realism. The game also leverages the Dreamcast's visual memory to display wrestler stamina, adding a new strategic layer to gameplay. The article emphasizes the visual leap, showcasing signature moves like Koji Kanemoto's Ganta-style face kick, and conveys excitement for the new level of visual fidelity and gameplay innovation. New Japan Pro Wrestling Toucan Retsuden 4 inches for Dreamcast boasts a significantly improved wrestler edit function, allowing for detailed customization of appearance, costumes, and AI behavior. The game features a deep roster of New Japan Pro Wrestling stars, including Hashimoto, Chono, Muto, and Liger, alongside younger generation wrestlers. There's a strong possibility of including wrestlers from other organizations, similar to the PlayStation version. Screenshots showcase realistic graphics and intense wrestling action, highlighting wrestlers like Power Warrior, Chono, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Antonio Inoki. The game aims to deliver an authentic professional wrestling experience on the Dreamcast. This page is a Dreamcast scoop focusing on Shenmue, highlighting the new free battle system. It emphasizes the attention to detail in the game's motion capture and realistic movements, calling it obsession and commitment. The article contrasts the free battle system with the previously showcased QTE battle, explaining that free battle allows for more player freedom in combat, moving away from purely timed button presses. It mentions that Yu Suzuki considers Shenmue's action to be an evolution from Virtua Fighter. There's a section announcing a Valentine's Day gift, a special item from Shenhua sent to the Dreamcast Magazine editors, suggesting a signed card and chocolate. It also mentions receiving handmade chocolate from Hazuki, expressing the editor's excitement. Screenshots showcase the in-game environments and battle scenes, emphasizing the Yokosuka setting and the detailed world of Shenmue. The next page showcases Shenmue's free battle system, highlighting it as a realistic 360-degree battle. It emphasizes several key points of this new combat system. Firstly, it introduces multi-person battles, a departure from traditional one-on-one fighting game scenarios. In Shenmue, players might face multiple enemies simultaneously, creating more intense and dynamic combat situations. Secondly, the battle stages are designed to be realistic and expansive, moving away from confined arena-like settings. The game uses terrain undulation and environmental elements, encouraging strategic combat decisions based on the surroundings. Thirdly, enemies can attack from all directions, requiring players to be vigilant and react to threats coming from anywhere. This all-around enemy positioning is a key feature of the free battle system. The page also describes the automatic avoidance and counterattack systems, noting that guard buttons from previous VF games are absent. The game emphasizes realistic reactions, where defensive moves and counterattacks are performed automatically based on the situation, mirroring real-life martial arts principles. Finally, the page details QuickTime events, QTE, as part of the battle system. Action 1 and Action 2 examples show QTE scenarios involving navigating stairs, where successful input leads to offensive actions, and failure results in taking damage. These QTEs are described as adding cinematic and interactive elements to the combat. It concludes by stating that QTE scenes are incorporated into battle situations as unexpected events to heighten gameplay. This page showcases the 43-person knockout free battle feature in the upcoming Dreamcast game Shenmue, which was known as Project Berkeley prior to announcement. The feature is described as a fast-paced, real-time battle system with a free viewpoint, allowing players to observe their surroundings. The free battle system in Shenmue is detailed to contain 6 core elements: attack, defense, and movement. The game simplifies commands, using button and directional key combinations for various techniques. Examples given include down plus P, P plus P plus P, P plus K, and direction plus P plus K, contrasting it with the more complex lever plus 4 button system of Virtua Fighter 3 TB, implying Shenmue is more accessible. The page illustrates different battle actions like move, punch, kick, parry, escape, and throw, emphasizing the ability to parry opponents' moves and follow up with attacks on fallen enemies. It mentions the Shenmue free battle uses simple direction keys and 2 buttons, while QTE battles are decided with a single button press. Screenshots depict in-game combat scenarios. This Shenmue preview focuses on the game's combat system, highlighting its free battle and emphasis on realistic human movement. Motion capture and consultation with martial arts experts, including a Ban Jiquan master, contribute to authentic combat animations. The preview details checkpoints related to positioning and natural movement, referencing Yu Suzuki's research into Chinese martial arts. Screenshots showcase punches and throws, along with character introductions of formidable opponents, including a black man and a tank top man. CG model previews showcase improved character textures. An interview with Yu Suzuki reveals his dedication to realistic action, discussing his dissatisfaction with previous motion capture techniques and his decision to create entirely new motion data for Shenmue 2. He emphasizes the commitment to achieving unprecedented realism and immersion, despite the difficulty. The next issue of Dreamcast Magazine will reveal sound design details. This page is a special feature for Power Stone on Dreamcast, announcing its release. It highlights the game as a natural color 3D fighting action title. The page mentions that the Dreamcast version is finally released and encourages players to train at home and then debut in arcades for versus battles, emphasizing the Dreamcast version has unique elements not found in the arcade. A message from Capcom discusses the cover image showing the protagonist finding treasure and warns players to be careful of suspicious people when obtaining treasure. The page also features screenshots showcasing the gameplay of Power Stone on Dreamcast. The Power Stone collection features unlockable content earned by completing arcade mode with different characters. Clearing the game with your first character unlocks the Nyoibo weapon and extra options. Subsequent clears unlock the machine gun, second character, laser rifle, third, and power shield, fourth. Collections 5 to 7 are downloadable minigames: Sky Adventure of Photocar, Your Excuse of Handprint, and Gangan Slot. Collection 8 is the movie theater, unlocked by any clear, allowing you to view character endings. Collection 9, the Setting Collection, requires 1,000 medals, while the Music Room, Collection 10, needs 2,000 medals. New battle modes include Virtual Battle, a single-player first-person mode, and Dual Battle, a 2-player split-screen mode. This page is a strategy guide for the Dreamcast fighting game Bloody Roar 2. It focuses on the character Fokker and provides tips and tactics for different combat scenarios within the game. These scenarios include the battle start, stone collecting, transformation, and when an opponent is knocked down. The guide also details strategies for using Fokker's special techniques, J attacks, back attacks, wall attacks, and pillar attacks, alongside general stage advice when playing as or against Fokker. The page includes screenshots from Bloody Roar 2 to illustrate the gameplay and strategic advice. This page is all about the fighting game Power Stone. It explains the importance of collecting stones to transform and gain an advantage during battles. The page details effective techniques for stealing stones from opponents, such as using jump kick, JK, attacks, throws, and items. It also discusses how your battle strategy should change depending on how many stones you and your opponent possess. It advises players not to be too hasty when collecting stones, and to be aware of enemy attacks. The page then focuses on the character Ayame, describing her playstyle as relying on aerial throws and close combat, and recommends using 2-stage jumps to close distance. Finally, it gives advice on how to defeat Ayame, pointing out her strengths and weaknesses, and offering specific character strategies. It also describes Ayame's stage as open with few obstacles, making aerial throws effective. The page concludes by listing and describing various attack types, like jump attacks, back attacks, ceiling attacks, wall attacks, and pillar attacks in the game. This page focuses on the aerial combat aspects of Power Stone. It emphasizes that jump attacks are crucial in this game and details how to utilize them effectively. The page breaks down jump attacks into categories like JK, J plus P plus K, and others, explaining their characteristics and usage in different situations, such as approaching or when closer to the opponent. It also provides advice on countering jump attacks, suggesting air throws, jump kicks, and throwing items as effective strategies. The page introduces the character Wantan, noting his unique special moves and overall performance, and discusses stage strategy, highlighting the importance of using stage elements like obstacles and being aware of low ceilings during gameplay. Dreamcast Magazine's Power Stone Strategy Guide focuses on environmental combat and character-specific tactics. Terrain-based attacks emphasizes strategic use of wall and pillar attacks, P+K, during opponent vulnerability. Explosive usage is effective, highlights the surprise Koji Morimoto, animator of Her Memories from Memories and promotional videos for Ken Ishii, discusses his animation process, emphasizing the crucial role of music. He favors techno and repetitive music, drawing inspiration from artists like bolero and even noise music, finding immersion in its minimalistic structures. His career began in 1959, progressing through Madhouse as an animator on projects like Akira and Tobei Kujira no Peak. He later founded Studio 4 Degrees Celsius in 1986. Recent work includes a video for the Blue Tones. The article also highlights Studio 4 Degrees C's ongoing animation endeavors and Morimoto's unique worldview, which is expressed through the Beyond City website, http://www.beyondc.co.jp/, and mentions an upcoming event. This page is a comic strip titled Something Yoshimatsu Theater, and this 15th installment is called Motion Capture Kyasuko. The comic humorously depicts a motion capture session for game development. Characters are shown capturing various actions, starting with basic movements and then moving on to more extreme scenes like a car crashing, showcasing the process of creating animations for games using motion capture technology. It seems to be poking fun at the intensity and sometimes absurd nature of motion capture for video games. This page introduces a manga series titled LD Dreamcast to Love's Trajectory Volume 1. The page poses the question, what is Miss Natasha's true form? Suggesting a mystery around the author, Natasha Sarasochi. The hint to solve this mystery is in the manga series title itself. The manga panel shows characters discussing the Dreamcast. They talk about considering the Dreamcast as a device for a sister's online environment, and acknowledge it might be difficult to find due to potential shortages at launch. However, they realize the Dreamcast is useful for more than just gaming. They also mention wanting to get the Dreamcast console, visual memory, and the game Virtual on Oratorio Tangram together as a set. The author's introduction at the bottom reveals some playful biographical details about Natasha Sarasochi, including her love for kumquats, and the fact that she is secretly a famous female manga artist. A prize is offered by the editorial department to anyone who can correctly guess her true identity. This page is an anime Check It feature for the OVA Twinbee Paradise Volume 1, Venus's Smile, celebrating the 5th anniversary of the popular Twinbee game series. It mentions that the OVA series is based on the popular Twinbee Paradise radio drama. The story focuses on the Twinbee team searching for the parents of a Venusian baby found among the wreckage of a UFO. Volume 2 was scheduled for release on March 25th, and Volume 3 on April 25th. The character profiles highlight Light as a Twinbee pilot and a bit of a rascal middle school student who likes bikes, Pastel as a Twinbee pilot, and Idle in training who is physically and mentally developing, and Twinbee, Winbee, and Gwynbee as robots with their own wills. Madoka is also mentioned as Pastel's girlfriend and owner of a tea shop called Dream Tea Fantasia. The page also mentions the appearance of Dr. Mardok and Zakopi. The Topics section promotes an anime information variety show called Anime Fan, starting March 1st on Yusen Channel AE40 Chains, featuring 4 personalities rotating weekly and showcasing new anime CDs and anime-related information, including voice actor news and original radio dramas. The personality section lists weekly personalities for the radio show, starting from March 1st to March 28th. Miyano Hitomi, Kuribayashi Mie, Maeda Ai, and Minami Kaori. It also mentions that Miyano Hitomi will have a corner called Dame Hito Rehabilitation Project, tentative. This page showcases SKY Perfect TV, recommended anime information, highlighting various anime series available on the satellite TV service. Featured anime include Cowboy Bebop 3rd Session, Ah, My Goddess, Adventures of Mini Goddess Volume 2, Getter Robo, Armageddon Volume 5, Tenchi Muyo TV 1457, Sorceress Stabber Orphan Volume 2, Saint Luminous Mission High School File. 3. Koji Koji, Whisper of the Heart, Transformers, the Movie, Natural Volume 1, and Sasara no Nakano Kabuta. The page provides release dates for video and LAD formats of these anime, along with brief descriptions and creator credits for each series. There's also information on anime movies being broadcast on TV channels, like Great Mazinger, vs Getter Robo, and Lupin the Third. New. This page is a column by Fumio Kurokawa discussing whether arcade games are the F1 of the gaming world, meaning at the forefront of technology and pushing boundaries. Kurokawa reflects on the high-end technology used in arcade games, comparing them to Formula One cars in terms of being cutting-edge and expensive. He references Sega's history with arcade hardware like Model 2 and Model 3, and how they led to the NAOMI board, which is like the Dreamcast's arcade equivalent. He discusses how the Dreamcast is like a home console version of an F1 machine. Games like Virtua Fighter and Giant Graham are mentioned as examples of titles that showcase this advanced arcade technology. The article also touches on genres like racing games such as Daytona USA and Sega Rally, rhythm games like Beatmania, and dance games like Dance Dance Revolution, all fitting into this F1 analogy within their respective game categories. The page also includes a profile of Fumio Kurokawa, detailing his career in the music, film, and game industries, highlighting his work at Sega AM2 and involvement with the VF series. Finally, it encourages reader feedback and suggestions for future column topics. This page is about game music and the work of a composer in 1993. It's titled, "Unexpectedly Well Received, So I'll Do It Again. My Work in 1993. The composer discusses their early work, starting with recording for Graduation, and feeling they could have done better with the arrangement. They mention working on various games for different platforms, including Mega Drive titles like Arcus I, 2 and 2i, Night Legend, and X Ranza. They also worked on Alien vs. Predator for Game Boy, and Wing Commander for Mega CD, and Lunar 2. They also mention the game Duke Say for CD. The page also highlights the composer's work on Tokyo Disneyland's 15th anniversary music for Grand Finale CD, including the song Countdown and Viva Magic. There's a section titled My Style Game Music Composition Lecture RPG Edition 6 Field, discussing the role of music in RPG field areas and how tempo should match the player's movement speed. Then, finally, This Week's Treasured Snap segment shows an accordion, with text about buying it cheaply. There's also a profile of the composer, mentioning they are from Nagano Prefecture and work on game music, musicals, stage music, and music for Tokyo Disneyland. This page is dedicated to Chunsoft's sound novel, Machi. It's the 29th edition of the Street Bulletin Board section. In the free talk area, players discuss their experiences replaying Machi, mentioning the character Jiro Monoki and sound effects, and the PlayStation version of the game. The Favorite Bad End section shares player anecdotes about memorable bad endings within Machi. The gallery showcases fan-submitted artwork. There are also sections highlighting player contributions from Hokkaido, Saitama, Toyama, Shiga, and Kyoto prefectures. The page concludes with a call for reader submissions to different sections of the bulletin board, and an announcement that this feature will end in 5 more installments, with the next issue scheduled for March 12th. This page is an advertisement for GameSpot Japan, promoting itself as the fastest source for game information. It highlights various topics trending in the gaming world at the time, such as the end-of-century game industry, the rise of Windows gamers, and new game consoles. The advert mentions Final Fantasy V-2i as a hot topic and points to content available on GameSpot Japan's website, including interviews with game creators and voice actors, and coverage of events. It emphasizes PC game graphics advancements and hints at Dreamcast news, mentioning rumors about the new SCE console, and asks, will Sega win? It promotes GameSpot as a place to get the latest game information online for free, highlighting upcoming coverage of the Tokyo Game Show. This page is an example of a questionnaire from the magazine, along with instructions on how to fill it out correctly. It includes sections asking about gender, age, school/occupation, frequently read magazines, impressions of the current issue, owned hardware, planned hardware purchases, and desired future game purchases. There are also lists of hardware and software for both Dreamcast and Sega Saturn. Looking at the hardware list, it covers a range of consoles including Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64, PlayStation, PCFX, and accessories like controllers, memory cards, and various peripherals. The Dreamcast software list features a variety of titles such as Akihabara Denogumi Patapais, Undercover AD2025 Key, Web Mystery Yocho Sanrenso, SD Flying Dragon's Fist Legend X, F1 Game Provisional, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Entertain Golf, and many more, covering various genres. The Sega Saturn software list includes titles like Advanced VG2, With you gazing at the meadow I want to be with you. Kiss Yori. J-League Excites Stage. Search I Secret Cradle Album. Starting O Death Setsu. Street Fighter 02. Seifuku Densetsu High School Cupid, and more. The article list mentions articles such as Weekly Dreamcast News Landmark, Naomi Base Plus AOU, Dreamcast Data Station, Dreamcast Reader's Race, Dreamcast Software Review, and several game previews and features like Elemental Gimmick Gear, Sonic Adventure, Buggy Heat, and 7 of the Secret Chamber, War Smile. This page is an advertisement for the Sonic Adventure Navigation Guide. This 160-page full-color book, priced at 1,200 yen, is scheduled for release in early March, and includes a special booklet on raising Chow creatures. The book aims to be a comprehensive guide to Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast, covering basic gameplay systems, character actions, item locations, boss strategies, and providing tips on raising KO creatures within the game. It is presented as an essential guide for players looking to master Sonic Adventure. This page is an advertisement for the Black Matrix anthology comic. It announces that the popular simulation game Black Matrix, released by NEC Interchannel last summer, is now available as a comic anthology. The comic features side stories created by a variety of authors including Masami Shinohara, Ryu Izumi, Yukiko Fuyumori, Kuniko Saito, Gunju, Tomoyoto Kujo, Yumi Ito, Yamato Aoki, Fuyuki Mizuhara, and Miyoko Satomi. The game premise is briefly explained as protagonist Abel waking up to a world where good and evil are reversed. The advertisement highlights that the comic is currently on sale and well received. The next page showcases 2 games from Random House, both released on April 15th, Morita no Saikyu Shogi and Morita no Saikyu Reversi. These games boast powerful AI, described as the strongest thinking routine, making them challenging yet accessible. Features like weight and advice are available for beginners, with computer levels adjustable up to level 5. Morita no Saikyu Shogi includes a handicap system and game record saving. Morita no Saikyu Reversi features a training mode and a challenging world champion class mode, alongside a campaign where players can win prizes. Screenshots of both games are displayed, emphasizing their gameplay and interface. The next page previews Space Griffin, a 3D adventure game for Dreamcast. Set in the year 2148, on a lunar base named Hamlet, communication has been suddenly cut off. The player takes on the role of a new AMC member, Jim, who is sent to investigate. The game features both exploration and combat sections rendered in polygons, interspersed with animated movie scenes, focusing on drama and action. Players will pilot variable form mechs known as VF or variable formula, and the page specifically highlights the VF9 Griffon, piloted by Bill, which can transform into 3 forms and is key to dungeon exploration and combat strategy. The story revolves around the investigation of the Hamlet facility, with the player uncovering the truth behind the communication breakdown. This page introduces Hamlet as a work with 3 keywords: Amax Factories, Lunar Tears, and Bacterial Weapon number 365. It details Amax Factories as a large corporation involved in various industries. Lunar Tears are described as a dangerous cosmic ore from the moon, and Bacterial Weapon number 365 is a terrifying weapon. The page shows a screenshot with characters from the game. The game Hamlet, from Panther Software, is a shooting action title at 65% completion and is planned for a spring release. Price, undecided. The developer comment hints at gameplay elements like exploring dark labyrinths, using Change Griffon, combat mode, and battling biomonsters with a Valkar Burr weapon. This page introduces the Amax VF9 Griffon, which is described as a system test head Virturoid. The pilot for the VF9 is Jim Billington, a 19-year-old with the call sign KID. The page also details the AVTGMLVF4D Viper, emphasizing its enhanced mobility and weaponry. Mark Smiley, call sign SHIEF, a 26-year-old private investigator, is the pilot of the LVF-4D. Additionally, the page features the LVF-5C pilot Maria Hansfield, call sign Maria, and the Eurotech LVF-5C C-Works version Milan, a custom version of the LVF-5C, which boasts a 50% power increase due to modifications by Maria at the AMC headquarters. This page showcases character and mecha profiles. On the left, we have Mary Lakewood, a 17-year-old high school student who survived a bacterial weapon incident. Next to her is Frances Lakewood, Mary's older sister, a bacteriology professor. Below them is Oleg Anderson, a 40-year-old former All-American arm wrestling champion and pilot of the HVF-8BS. On the right side, the AMAX HVF-8B Avenger Commander version is introduced as a large and heavy versatile fighter. Below that is Conrad von Abel, a 35-year-old pilot of the HVF-8B, known as Boss, a veteran soldier turned AMC member. Further down, the AMAX HVF-8BA, Avenger Artillery version, is described as a firepower-focused custom machine, piloted by Rautsin Shchuanov, a 28-year-old former pro basketball player. Lastly, the AMAX HVS-8BS Avenger Strike version is mentioned as a custom variant modified by Oleg, emphasizing its enhanced combat capabilities. Blue Stinger, a Dreamcast non-stop adventure game from Sega, is set for a March 25th release. The game, compatible with the Puru Puru Pak and VGA box, features a Hollywood-style aesthetic. Players control Elliot, an ESER member, along with Janine and Nephilim, as they investigate a mysterious event on Dinosaur Island. Modern facilities are mostly non-functional, and strange creatures roam the island. The team has progressed to a restaurant, obtained an ID, and is now heading to the Brain Center for information. Their investigation centers on a power-out building where energy consumption was unusually high, leading them to a power facility. The ultimate goal is to restore power to a research facility called Fossil Home to uncover its secrets. Screenshots illustrate gameplay and character dialogue. This page details the game Dino Crisis and showcases different scenarios within the game. The first section describes the runway leading to the power plant, which is secured by an unmanned security system that players must overcome. It mentions that the area is heavily equipped, resembling a military installation with fuel tanks and radar dishes. The page highlights encounters with laser security systems that must be skillfully evaded. It also describes a dramatic event where a massive earthquake causes a chasm to open up, blocking the path and forcing the player, Elliot, to find an alternative route involving climbing a nearby fuel tank as it explodes in a cinematic action scene. The page emphasizes the intensity and high stakes of the gameplay, where mistakes can lead to immediate death, highlighting a change in difficulty compared to previous events. This page previews the game Dino Crisis, set within a power plant where an accident has occurred. Two people miraculously survive a tank explosion and enter the plant to restore power. However, the inhabitants are either dead or transforming into dinocytes, dinosaur-like creatures. The main character, Elliot, is tasked with restoring power but faces unexpected large dinocytes. The page highlights different dinocyte types. Fluorescent dinocytes, which are small but swarm in groups. Main-eating dinocytes, which are aggressive and can break through glass. And releasing electrical dinocytes, that accumulate and discharge electricity. The screenshots show Elliot navigating the power plant environment and battling these dinocytes, using weapons like a handgun and shotgun, emphasizing the dangerous and challenging situations within the game. The descriptions mention strategic gameplay elements like using objects for defense, and environmental hazards like falling from heights. The overall tone suggests a survival horror experience with intelligent and dangerous dinosaur enemies. This page is about the game Dino Crisis. It describes Elliot restarting the power at Dinocyte, but he has a bad feeling. A jeep that was camouflaged as a Dinocyte attacks and blocks their return path. The page mentions that they are trying to figure out the cause of the anomaly, and the situation is rapidly developing. It highlights the next destination is Fossil Home, located in the center of the island. The page also briefly touches upon the mystery of Nephilim and Janine, asking, what is happening between Nephilim and Janine? It mentions the scene where Nephilim is looking down at a collapsed Janine and asks about the intention of the woman. The article then transitions to the Jeep, highlighting it as a real Jeep heading to the research facility, encouraging the reader to go. It also mentions the Christmas time frame within the game's story, with conversations between characters related to Christmas. This page is dedicated to the flight simulation game Aero Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse, for the Dreamcast. The game is nearing its release, and is described as a full-fledged flight simulation that lets you experience the joy of freely flying in the vast sky in various ways. It emphasizes experiencing the true thrill of aviation. The page highlights the game's opening movie, boasting 3 different types of scenes: intense acrobatic flight footage using in-game cameras, scenes focused on takeoff from the ground, and gameplay highlights. The game's completion is stated at 100%. A developer comment section includes humorous text about the pilot still being needed despite being ready for anything. It also jokes about the release date being around March 4th. The features listed include a March 4th release date, a price of 5,800 yen, and mentions it's an acrobatic flight simulator. It supports the Puru Puru Pak ASC2 mission stick VGA output and allows up to 4 players to play simultaneously. This page focuses on the game Aero Dancing, known internationally as Aero Wings, a flight simulator game for Dreamcast. The article explores the charm of Aero Dancing, highlighting its realistic graphics that are almost mistaken for real photos and the realistic flight sensation it provides. It mentions various game modes are available. The page also includes a special interview with Mr. Fujiwara and Mr. Izumi, who were involved in the game's supervision and planning. They discuss how they aimed for realism in the game, using flight simulator theory and referencing real aircraft to create an authentic experience. They mention that they balanced realism with playability so that the game wouldn't be too difficult for players. The interview also touches on the background of how Mr. Fujiwara, who had a long interest in flight simulation, got involved in the project. Blue Impulse Mission is a Dreamcast game where players join the Blue Impulse aerobatic team. The game features flight training with the objective of becoming team leader. Training is split into basic flight, takeoff, turns, landings, and acrobatic flight, advanced maneuvers. Players need a score of 61/100ths to advance. Screenshots display cockpit and external views, and interface elements. Detailed briefings explain mission objectives and techniques. Again, an interview with former JASDF test pilot Nobuhiro Fujiwara discusses G-forces in the game, explaining readout and blackout simulations. He notes that the game simplifies these effects for gameplay. Fujiwara also comments on the flight model's realism, highlighting details like flaps and slats. He emphasizes the challenge of accurately representing G-forces, and that the game aims to balance realism and entertainment. This page showcases the Sky Mission Attack game mode for a flight game, emphasizing target shooting within a time limit across a large field. There are 3 types of targets: checkpoint targets, point targets for scoring, and double targets that multiply scores for a limited time. The game also features a free flight mode, allowing players to freely fly without time constraints, even through cityscapes. Multiplayer is mentioned, allowing players to fly with CPU-controlled wingmen. The page includes an interview with a former test pilot, Izumi Masayoshi from CRI Application Development, who discusses his background and experience as a pilot. He mentions being inspired by John Wayne's Jet Pilot movie to become a pilot. He talks about the GLOC experience and appreciates the realistic flight feeling in the game, mentioning aircraft like the F-4EJ Kai and F-86F. He highlights the intensity of dogfights in the game and the challenges of high-G maneuvers. This page is focused on the multiplayer mode of Aero Dancing for Dreamcast. It highlights that up to 4 players can fly together on one screen in multiplayer. The game emphasizes formation flying and teamwork, stating that players who stray too far from the leader will drop out. Players can select maneuvers and free session modes. The page also showcases 12 viewpoints to look back on flight, detailing different camera angles available during gameplay replay, like cockpit, behind, formation, nose, tail, and round views. An interview section titled, "What is Mr. Fujiwara's favorite F-4EJ?" discusses the F-4EJ Phantom II aircraft, popular in the 70s and still used. The interviewer and Fujiwara discuss flight characteristics of the F-4EJ and F-15, mentioning that the F-4EJ is more challenging to handle at low speeds, contrasting it with the F-15, which is more forgiving, and also touching on the difficulty of flying the F-104. Fujiwara is described as a former test pilot and instructor. The Blue Impulse is also mentioned in a section asking about unknown facts. This page is all about the real enjoyment of multiplayer gaming, specifically featuring the Dreamcast game Blue Impulse. It highlights the experience of playing with 4 people simultaneously on one screen. The page breaks down the different roles players can take on during gameplay, describing roles like the leader, the fish, the seagull, and the chicken, each with a slightly different focus in the game. There are several screenshots showcasing various viewpoints within the game, such as onboard, near, watcher, cameraman, pass, and curve, suggesting different camera angles or perspectives during gameplay. The page also contrasts good examples and bad examples of multiplayer sessions using photos of people playing. The good example shows players cooperating and having fun, while the bad example depicts a chaotic and frustrating experience. Below the screenshots and gameplay examples, there is an interview with Fujiwara-san and Izumi-san, where they discuss the game's concept, focusing on the thrill of acrobatic flight and the Blue Impulse's air demonstration team. They mention the game aims to capture the excitement of flying in formation and performing aerobatics, even though it's challenging. They also touch upon the selection process for pilots in the real Blue Impulse team, comparing it to scouting for skilled players in the game. The interview concludes by mentioning the enjoyment of playing Blue Impulse while thinking about the real team and the game's difficulty in simulating actual acrobatic maneuvers. This page is dedicated to a preview of the Dreamcast game Buggy Heat, showcasing its new RDM real-time driving motion system, designed to bring a realistic driving experience to off-road racing games. The game features a driver development system and emphasizes the realistic depiction of driving sensations and visuals. The article highlights the France course, detailing its layout with a White Castle as a centerpiece, arch bridges, varied terrain, and a length of 2,100 meters and maximum width of 60 meters. Screenshots display in-game action and the user interface. The game is set to be released on April 1st at a price of 5,800 yen and supports two-player gameplay. The article mentions that course line selection is crucial, especially navigating narrow bridges and stone walls, suggesting strategic racing and overtaking are key aspects of the game. This page is showcasing a real-time driving motion system for a Dreamcast racing game that realistically recreates cornering techniques. The page highlights how player inputs are directly reflected in the game, offering a more immersive experience compared to traditional racing games. It details 5 stages of cornering: entering the corner by turning the steering wheel, braking, shifting gear, adjusting the accelerator, and accelerating out of the corner. The text emphasizes the game's ability to faithfully reproduce subtle driving techniques and how these actions are visually represented in the game. Additionally, it mentions a driver development mode where characters grow and improve driving skills based on player actions, allowing for detailed technique learning. The screenshots display various car models named Tricky Diamonds, Virtuoso, Avalanche, Xiaolongbao, Drangshekken, and Combat Anchor, illustrating the driving actions during cornering. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast horror-adventure game, 7 Mansions, Ghastly Smile of a War Victim. Developed by Koei to celebrate their 20th anniversary, it's touted as a significant graphical improvement over their Saturn titles. The game is set on Nuracell Island, a southern island where protagonist Hiroshi Utsugi and Reina Shirakawa are searching for their missing mentor. The story involves mysterious research facilities belonging to the McPherson Foundation and focuses on environmental issues. We are introduced to Christy McPherson, the beautiful daughter of Dr. McPherson, who is presumed dead but reappears, and Ernest McPherson, a key figure in the story who established the foundation. The game is described as 50% complete, scheduled for a summer release, priced at 6,800 yen, and uses a pair-con system. The article suggests it will be playable at the Tokyo Game Show in spring. This page introduces the P-con system as a novel and much anticipated feature for the Dreamcast, designed for 2 players to play simultaneously on separate pads, enabling cooperative puzzle solving. It highlights the option for players to act independently, which can lead to both story progression and separation within the game. Single-player mode is also available, but the emphasis is on the enhanced enjoyment of playing with another person. The page then delves into the game's setting, the Genetic Research Institute, described as the first stage in the game. It is a cutting-edge biotechnology research facility led by Director Schneider. Floor 1 areas detailed are the Cell Culture Lab for cell and virus analysis, the Clinical Testing Lab for experiments on living organisms, and the entrance with its hexagonal structure and large glass windows. Floor 2 includes the lounge, offering a view of the Great Barrier Reef, and the reception room, furnished with high-class furniture for receiving guests. There's also a data room, described as a library for genetic engineering documents. The Special Experiment Room is mentioned as where Director Schneider conducts personal research, hinting at human experimentation. The exterior shot shows a large, modern building. The text warns that while the genetic research is intended for the benefit of humanity, there's no guarantee it won't be misused. This page is a preview for Romance of the Three Kingdoms Fixed, a strategy simulation game. The page highlights the game's focus on preparing for war even during peacetime. It emphasizes the importance of training generals through battle experience to improve their abilities. The article thoroughly introduces the game's command structure, breaking it down into categories like domestic affairs, military affairs, movement, diplomacy, personnel, strategy, and special commands. Domestic affairs commands include development, commerce, and stability, focusing on managing the internal affairs of your territory. Military affairs commands are about troop deployment, reinforcement, and siege tactics. Movement allows for troop and general relocation. Diplomacy encompasses alliances, joint actions, and information gathering. Personnel management involves searching for, recruiting, appointing, and dismissing officers. Strategy commands are used for espionage and deception. Special commands cover reward bestowal and territory transfers. The page also explains the supply line system, essential for sustaining your forces. It's mentioned that generals gain experience from battles, leading to their growth and promotion, and the higher their rank, the more troops they can command. The game is described as a simulation title by Koei Tecmo, scheduled for release on March 25th, priced at 9,800 yen. The developer's message expresses hope that players who enjoyed previous Romance of the Three Kingdoms titles will enjoy this one as well. This page introduces the core battle system of a country-taking strategy game, which is likely part of the Nobunaga's Ambition series. Although it's referred to as SIC here, it appears to be Nobunaga's Ambition, Chronicles of Turbulence. A key feature highlighted is the simultaneous plot system. The page outlines the 4 steps of battle. First, selecting your sortie members, followed by dispatching reinforcements from nearby cities. Then, you engage in battlefield combat to decide the victor, and finally, manage post-battle actions, like deciding what to do with captured enemy commanders. The article also emphasizes daily preparations for war using intelligence officers, and introduces a stamina system that governs all officer actions. Defensive strategies using traps and tactical planning are also discussed to solidify your defenses. This page is a preview for Nobunaga's Ambition, Rise to Power, the 7th installment in the historical simulation game series. This version is a powered-up edition for the Dreamcast. The game lets players command warlords in the Warring States period of Japan and aim for national unification. The key feature highlighted is the representation of the entire country on a single map, where commands are executed in a real-time world, moving units and armies across the terrain. The page emphasizes internal affairs for building up the nation, such as developing farmland and towns to strengthen the economy and military. Another important aspect is vassal training and development. There are 10 scenarios available, starting from the early Warring States period up to just before national unification. The scenarios differ based on the daimyo and power dynamics. The game is scheduled for release on March 25th at a price of 9,800 yen and is classified as a simulation game. The text suggests that Dreamcast owners should get this game for its enhanced features, including siege battles, editor functions, and historical events. The page also features a selection of scenario titles like April 1555, Kyosu Castle Entry, February 1582, Hanoji Incident, May 1575, Dawn of a New Era, March 1584, Komaki Nagakute Battle, and November 1589, Eve of National Unification. This page is about the strategy game, where warlords battle with wisdom to expand their territory. It highlights features like large-scale battles in a war simulation context, where formations and tactics are key, mentioning foot soldiers and horsemen. The game emphasizes diplomacy and strategy, with players needing to use their brains to conquer the enemy, not just brute force. It details tutorials for beginners to learn the game easily, and also mentions returning siege battle scenarios from the PC version, which were previously absent in console versions. The game includes historical events and scenarios, immersing players in the Sengoku period. An edit function is included, allowing players to freely modify character and castle data, which is great for those who want to customize the game. Finally, a database of Sengoku period knowledge is featured, called Sengoku Meisho Monogatari, to enrich the player's understanding of the era. Screenshots illustrate battle scenes, character dialogues, and in-game menus. This page is focused on the Dreamcast version of Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes. The main highlight is the introduction of a Dreamcast original mode called Cross Fever. The text explains that Cross Fever is a tag battle mode that evolves the variable cross system found in the arcade version. It allows for 4 players to play simultaneously, with each player controlling one character in a tag team format. The description emphasizes that this is the real tag battle experience. The page details that in Cross Fever, when characters are swapped, the control right is also transferred, and the hyper combo gauge automatically increases. It mentions using 4 controllers for 1P and 2P versus 3P and 4P battles. Variable assist and variable attack are mentioned as ways to switch players, transferring control from 1P to 2P. The page also indicates that the game's development completion rate is at 100%, and it lists the release date as March 25th, with a price of 5,800 yen. The genre is listed as versus fighting, and it supports 1 to 4 players. A comment from the maker states that this is the 3rd installment of the unprecedented VS series, and the biggest selling point is the Dreamcast original system, Cross Fever mode, which allows for up to 4 players to enjoy tag battles. They encourage players to gather friends and enjoy the chaotic fun. This page introduces the Dreamcast version of Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, highlighting several game modes. The first mode discussed is Survival Mode, described as a staple in Capcom arcade ports. It notes that in this mode, health is not fully restored after each stage, and recovery depends on clear time, with hyper combo gauges carrying over to the next stage. Next is Training Mode, another standard home console feature being included in the Dreamcast version. This mode allows players to practice using any character, including CPU-controlled opponents, and customize various settings for training purposes, such as infinite hyper combo gauge and unlimited special partner assists. Finally, the page details Arcade Original Mode, emphasizing it as a perfect port from the arcade version. This means hidden techniques and characters from the arcade are fully implemented in the Dreamcast release. The article specifically mentions Lilith-style Morrigan, Roll-chan, and High-Speed Venom as examples of characters that will appear. Screenshots show gameplay featuring Roll-chan fighting against Captain Commando and Morrigan battling an unknown opponent in a space-themed stage, highlighting special moves and effects. The next page introduces Redline Racer, a new motorcycle racing game for Dreamcast that pushes speed to 300 km per hour. The game is stated to be leading the way for bike racing games on the Dreamcast, following the popularity of rally, buggy, kart, and F1 racing titles. The game is 80% complete and is scheduled for release in April at a price of 5,800 yen, published by Lasersoft and developed by Imagineer. The page details 3 game modes: Tournament, Single Race, and 2P versus Race. Tournament mode is about competing for the championship across various courses. Single Race is a 3-lap time attack mode. 2P versus Race is a 2-player split-screen mode for human versus human races. All modes feature a super acceleration turbo function and a replay mode. The developer comments mention that the game's charm lies in racing through locations that are normally unthinkable. Course introductions highlight Devil's Canyon and Seafall Bay. Devil's Canyon is described as a high-speed course with exhilarating cornering and thrilling banking sections, requiring full throttle acceleration. Seafall Bay is noted as a challenging course due to sandy roads causing tire grip issues, demanding precise machine control and careful line selection through varying elevations and gaps. The course width is reasonably wide, allowing for comfortable line changes, but there are also tight corners. This page details the team aspect of the Dreamcast game, Team Interceptor, Micro Machines. It explains that players select one of 8 teams at the game's start, but this choice only changes the rider's suit design and does not impact gameplay. The page introduces 5 of the 8 teams. Jordan, described as strong and well-known with a reputation for skilled riders. Letal Racing, portrayed as veterans aiming for a comeback with renewed team management. N-Tech, focused on high technology with emphasis on parts and car performance. Tawayama Corp, a Japanese team known for excellent technical skills and aiming for titles. And Redline Racing, established by the famous Williams team, highlighting their racing pedigree. Several new machines are showcased: Firestar, Tiger Shark, Tiamoto Edge, Avanti, and Nightstorm, each with unique characteristics. For example, Nightstorm is mentioned as having top speed but slightly compromised handling, suitable for high-speed courses. 2 courses are also previewed: Tudor Hill, described as beautiful with evening scenery and narrow roads requiring precise driving to avoid roadside crashes, and Le Grand Blanc, a snowy course where snow and fog challenge the rider's visibility and demand careful accelerator work due to slippery conditions and continuous corners. This page is focused on the upcoming Dreamcast puzzle game Puyo Puyon, highlighting its release date of March 4, 1999, priced at 5,800 yen. The page promotes the game as a 14-player puzzle action title compatible with the Puru Puru Pak and VM. It introduces beginner lessons for new players of Puyo Puyo and challenges for advanced players, suggesting these are features inside the magazine itself. The page also details Stage 6 Noho, which seems to be a stage introduction featuring the character Noho, describing gameplay elements and mentioning a Nohon slot mechanic as a part of the game. The next page is a beginner's lecture on Puyo Puyo, specifically focusing on learning chain reactions. If you are new to Puyo Puyo and struggling with chains, this page breaks it down. Arlen Carbuncle explains what a chain is, and the page walks you through the basics step by step, using game screenshots to illustrate how to set up and execute chains. Even Saten chimes in with some pro tips for more advanced players looking to improve. We also get a spotlight on Sariri from Stage 7 of the story mode, describing her distrustful personality and her unique ability in the game where she can change the color of the most common Puyo type on screen, a powerful offensive tool. It seems to be referencing Puyo Puyon, and it's encouraging players to master chaining and move on to harder challenges in the game. The next page introduces two contests for Puyo Puyon on Dreamcast. The first contest, How Far Can You Chain?, is a challenge to achieve long chains in the Super Puyo Puyo 100 chain attack mode. The rules state that participants must achieve at least an 80 chain, recording a video from the stacking phase, and including the chain count and time on the video label. The person with the highest chain will win. The second contest is, Solve It! How Many Minutes? This is a time attack challenge on a special hot spicy course, with puzzles ranging from 12 to 24 chains and difficult high chain problems. The goal is to clear 5 problems as quickly as possible and submit a video recording from the name entry screen to the clear time, including the clear time on the video label. The fastest time wins. The page includes screenshots from Puyo Puyon and details on how to submit entries to Dreamcast Magazine by a March 3rd deadline. There are rankings listed for the hot spicy course time attack, and an example of how to record the video with time and chain information on the label. The page also features character art and dialogue boxes from the game. The Puyo Puyo Paradise section of the magazine focuses on the Puyo Puyo game series and features fan contributions. The section began coverage on March 4th. It includes an illustration corner showcasing fan art, with expanded space planned for the next issue. The Puyo Puyo Language Corner presents made-up Puyo Puyo words. The Reader's Impression Corner discusses predictions for the next game's title, with reader suggestions like Puyo Puyo G and Puyo Puyo Zero. Chico's Diary presents a weekly story from the perspective of a character named Chico, this week involving a sad dragon. Additionally, there's a Puyo Puyo Pretty Girl contest, where readers vote for their favorite characters, and information on how to submit fan contributions. This page is about a Sunrise Robot All-Star game, provisionally titled Sunrise Ayutan Kari. It is described as a grand compilation game featuring Sunrise robots, aiming for original 3D CG visuals based on anime techniques. The game is stated to combine 2D anime and 3D models. The page highlights Brave King Gao Gaigar, which was broadcast from February 1997, and Armored Trooper Votems, which aired from April 1983 as featured series. The game's completion rate is at 25% and is being developed by Sunrise Interactive, with a planned release in December 1999. It is categorized as an RPG, and the price is yet to be determined. A developer comment expresses gratitude for high popularity and mentions that popular characters beyond just mecha will be included, hinting at characters like Amuro Rei and Shiriko Kuvi. They expect to announce details as they are decided. The page also discusses the concept of real 3D representation in the game, contrasting 2D anime techniques with the new challenge of 3D. It mentions Atri Co. Limited, a 3D expert group involved in garage kit prototypes, and emphasizes the blend of 2D and 3D expertise to create a new form of 3D. The development producer, Maeda, states that while visuals are secondary, the priority is to make a playable and enjoyable game, highlighting a focus on gameplay over pure visual fidelity. This page is focused on a new original mecha game called Original Mecha FT Flying Trooper. It's highlighted as a high-quality CG representation of robots. The game is being developed by Sunrise, known for anime robot series. The game itself is described as an RPG, where Sunrise anime robots from different worlds can cross over and fight together, something that was not possible in the original anime series. The game features an original mecha called FT, or Flying Trooper, and the screenshots showcase its detailed design, created using CG from 3D models. The main protagonist who pilots the FT is a 17-year-old boy named Kanji Akatsuki. There's also mention of a heroine named Lune. The story is set on a giant artificial star covered in cloud-like structures. Kanji is depicted as having inherited the skills of GT, Grand Trooper, from his father. The page also reveals that other Sunrise anime robot series are confirmed to appear in the game. These are Mobile Suit Gundam, Armored Trooper Votoms, and Aura Battler Dunbine. For Mobile Suit Gundam, the RX-782 Gundam, piloted by Amuro Ray from the original 1979 series, is confirmed. For Armored Trooper Votoms, the Scope Dog from the 1983 series is mentioned, and it's stated that other Votoms units might also appear. For Aura Battler Dunbine, the Dunbine from the 1983 series is confirmed, with the possibility of other Dunbine mecha making an appearance as well. This page showcases King of Braves, Gao Gaigar, highlighting it as the 4th volume in the Sunrise Robot of CG World series. The article details Gao Gaigar as a super mechanoid developed by the Earth Defense Force GGG. It mentions the core components are Gao and Galleon, which fuse to become Gaigar, and describes the liner Gao on its shoulders, the stealth Gao wings on its back, and the drill Gao transforming on its legs. The article also refers to the final fusion sequence. The data section provides details for King of Braves Gao Gaigar, including its name, height of 31.5 meters, weight of 630 tons, and special move, Hell and Heaven. The description explains that the TV anime series King of Braves Gao Gaigar began broadcasting in February 1997. It discusses the CG modeling of Gao Gaigar, aiming for a realistic representation in what's referred to as Sunrise Heroic Tale, tentative title. The page also includes a website address. This page is an introduction to the Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide section, highlighting several games. Featured titles include Sega Rally 2, Sonic Adventure, Pops and Music, Kinky Sekai Evolution, which was released internationally as Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, and Sengoku Turb. The page is visually busy with colorful cartoon characters, many of whom are likely from the Pops and Music series, given the distinctive art style. This page is focused on Sega Rally 2 and machine settings. It guides players on how to approach car settings in the game, emphasizing finding areas of dissatisfaction with the default settings. The page is broken down into 4 sections regarding car settings. 1. Normal state trial run. It suggests trying the car in its default normal condition first to identify areas that need adjustment. 2. Suspension settings. This section highlights suspension settings as having a significant impact on handling and suggests experimenting with front and rear balance. Steering response adjustment. After setting up the suspension, the page recommends adjusting steering response. 4. Other settings. This final settings area mentions that other settings are mostly personal preference, with tire choice being course dependent and brakes and gear ratios being less critical, but still worth experimenting with. The bottom half of the page introduces the Sega Rally 2 Network Club Volume 0. This section talks about enjoying network battles in Sega Rally 2, highlighting the game as an early example of online multiplayer on home consoles. It mentions the Network Work Battle Club as a gathering place for players and encourages users to send in opinions, requests, and information about server-related queries, manners in online play, and announcements for tournaments. It also provides an email address for submissions to the Dreamcast Magazine editorial department. The next page features machine settings for Toyota Corolla WRC and Ford Escort WRC, likely for the game Sega Rally Championship 2. For the Toyota Corolla WRC, the page highlights that the car tends to understeer from the start. It suggests adjusting the suspension to be stiffer, recommending front suspension plus 5 and rear suspension plus 3. Other settings include 6MT transmission, gear ratio plus 2, steering plus 1, and brakes at 0. The advice is to prioritize front responsiveness and stability when starting to drift. For the Ford Escort WRC, it mentions that the car is already very capable in its default normal settings. It suggests minor adjustments, such as front and rear suspension at +2, gear ratio at +2, steering at +1, and brakes at 0. The recommendation is to maintain a balance between front and rear, and to adjust based on preference, especially for gravel surfaces where instability might occur. The gear ratio setting is explained as being similar to the Corolla due to the 6-speed transmission. The page concludes that the Escort is easier to handle even for beginners due to its mild handling characteristics. This guide details the 10-year championship mode of Sega Rally Championship 2, specifically focusing on the 8th-year stages. Stage 1, ISLESS1, features tarmac and gravel in the rain, recommending careful acceleration and drifting control, especially at points A, inside cornering, wide exit, and B, braking before a tunnel. Stage 2, MOUNTAINSS2, is also in heavy rain, requiring damp WET tires and emphasizing accelerator control to avoid understeer at points A, partial throttle, and B, early hairpin approach, prioritize safety. Stage 3, SONWYSS2, is snowy with night and rain, recommending snow tires. Full throttle is possible, risky, at point A, and point B advises using the navigation icon. Stage 4, DESERTSS3, is a gravel course in rain and poor visibility. Soft wet gravel or dry damp wet tires are suggested. Point A advises braking for weight transfer, and point B suggests a straight driving line, despite bumps. This guide provides rally racing tips for 4 courses in a game's 9th year. Desert SS1 encourages aggressive corner cutting and early braking at blind corners, targeting a 57 to 58 second time. Snowy SS2 emphasizes tarmac driving, managing understeer and icy patches, with a 51 second target. Mountain SS3 features fog, requiring pre-planning and load shifting, aiming for 1 minute 30 seconds. Muddy SS3 is the most difficult, demanding extreme speed reduction and load shifting in complex corners, also with a 1 minute 30 second target. Recommended tire choices vary by course. Compacted gravel or dry/damp wet for Desert SS1, asphalt snowy/frozen or dry/damp for Snowy SS2, damp/wet 2 or dry/damp wet for Mountain SS3, and soft/wet gravel for Muddy SS3. The Alpine Renault A110 is obtainable. This page is a strategy guide for Sonic Adventure. It details the adventure mode and focuses on gameplay tips for different characters. For Sonic, it describes entering the pyramid in Mystic Ruins, highlighting the story's progression and the mystery surrounding the Chaos Emeralds. Tails section is about escaping the egg carrier and facing E102 Gamma, with advice on using his tailspin attack to defeat Gamma. Knuckles' part focuses on the Lost World stage, where he needs to find emerald shards within the pyramid. E102 Gamma's section mentions his next objective, involving E104 Epsilon, and challenges in the Red Mountain area, along with acquiring the guided laser sight item as a weapon upgrade obtainable at the egg carrier. Finally, Big the Cat section is about his reunion and separation with Froggy in Mystic Ruins, mentioning Tails' assistance in finding Froggy initially. Screenshots accompany each character's description, showcasing gameplay in their respective scenarios. This guide provides strategy tips for Sonic Adventure, focusing on Tails, Gamma, and Big stories. In Tails' story, the guide recommends using the Shippo rotation attack against Gamma. For Gamma's Red Mountain stage, the strategy emphasizes locking onto multiple enemies and using dynamite strategically, especially against magma enemies, and in battles against Epsilon, attacking with homing missiles and lasers. Big story, set in Emerald Coast, focuses on fishing for the frog Kairukun and other large fish. It suggests searching near the start and using lures. A secret fishing spot near the starting point, in a dome-shaped area, is also revealed. Players are advised to obtain the power rod and level up lure before proceeding. The Lost World stage in Sonic Adventure International places Sonic in a mystical ruins forest, culminating in a pyramid. This stage features several unique enemy encounters: a Boabo, a bomb-throwing robot; Leon, a quick-appearing chameleon; and Gola, a fiery lava enemy. The stage is broken down into 6 key sections. Players navigate fire pillars and fireballs. Point 1. They ride a stone snake, manipulating water levels to open doors. Point 2 and 3. Light reflection is used to illuminate a path. Point 4. A rolling rock ball trap requires swift evasion via spin dash. Point 5. Finally, Players maneuver through walls of light by activating switches in a large hall to reach the goal. Point 6. This page is a strategy guide for Knuckles' story mode in Sonic Adventure International. It's titled Knuckles' Story and Knuckles Stage 4. The page focuses on the Lost World stage, offering gameplay tips. It highlights finding 2 stone statues to open a door in the pyramid and finding the fighting gloves item to improve Knuckles' combat abilities with a special move called Maximum Heat Knuckles. There are 3 Lost World point tips. Point 1 explains a trap with emeralds hidden behind fire pillars. Point 2 describes descending from the top of a large room while looking for emeralds using the radar. Point 3 mentions that if the radar indicates an emerald buried in sand, you should dig there. Screenshots illustrate these points within the Lost World stage. This page is dedicated to Chao from the game's Sonic Adventure, and is part of a special feature on animal parts. It explains how Chao in the garden can change their appearance by interacting with animals. This particular feature focuses on the yellow group of animals, and shows examples of Chao influenced by a raccoon, seal, and penguin. For each animal, there are images showing the KO's ears, back view, and head, along with descriptions of the features they inherit. For example, the raccoon Chao gains raccoon-like ears and a tail, and when happy, spins around like a raccoon. The seal Chao gets seal-like ears and flippers and waddles around. The penguin Chao gets penguin-like ears and a beak, and behaves like an ice-skating penguin. This page delves into the fascinating evolution of Chao in Sonic Adventure. It explains that if you continuously interact with certain animal types, your Chao will take on characteristics of those animals. As an example, it highlights Penguin Chao, demonstrating the difference between a Chao after 30 penguin interactions versus 100 interactions, showing a clear change in appearance to become more penguin-like. The page further explores this concept with the green group of animals, showing how Chao transform when combined with rabbit, kangaroo, and deer. For each animal type, there are images showcasing the KO's ears, back view, head, and special characteristics after being raised with that animal. For example, rabbit Chao develop long, fluffy ears and a fluffy tail. Kangaroo Chao get shorter ears and a bouncy walk, and deer Chao develop curled ears and a calm demeanor. In a separate Otayori section, there is an announcement about the Tokyo Game Show taking place from March 20th to 21st. It mentions that Dreamcast Magazine will be there and are planning to have a Chao meetup event where people can bring their Chao and interact. They invite readers to participate in their Let's Debut Your Beloved Chao in Dream Maga project and Chao Team Q and a special, encouraging readers to send in illustrations and Chao goods. They also provide contact details for submissions. The next page is about unlockable modes in Pop'd Music. It highlights several hidden modes and features available in the game, appealing to players looking for extra challenges beyond the standard hard mode. The page details Hidden Mode, where notes disappear as they approach the bottom line, requiring players to rely on memory. Mirror Mode reverses the positions of the notes, challenging players who have memorized patterns. Random Mode shuffles the note positions each time, making it harder to predict patterns. Unlock conditions are listed for Hidden Mode, which is unlocked by playing all 12 songs in arcade mode that are not hidden songs. Rave Mode features fast, continuous note streams, described as for Beat Mania enthusiasts. Finally, Bonus Track is described as a hidden song that is only accessible through luck. The unlock condition for the bonus track involves the hit count's first digit being a repeating number, or either 573 or 375 on stage 1 or 2. The page also mentions character and color change options, allowing players to customize the character and button colors using the L, R, and trigger buttons. This page reveals the unlock conditions for original songs in the consumer version of a music game, which is likely Space Channel 5. It highlights 5 new songs added to the home version and explains how to unlock each one by meeting specific criteria in different stages and genre selections. For the song JPOP Life, you need to select the POPS genre in Stage 1, and in Stage 2 choose Disco Queen, Reggae, or Dance. To unlock Techno 80 Watermelon Woman, you must clear the Techno Pop stage just barely. Fusion Crossover 12 is unlocked by selecting Bamboo as your playable character. The song Africa Hamba is unlocked by choosing the BAP genre in Stage 4 and REGAE in Stage 2. Finally, for Classic Chaos Age, you need to select Fantasy in Stage 1 and Latin in Stage 2. Each song description also includes gameplay tips, such as noting that J-pop has mixed tempos, Techno 80 features left-right spread patterns, Fusion has a challenging intro, Africa has fast tempos, and Classic has tricky button timings. Screenshots from the gameplay accompany each song description. This page highlights Evolution, the world of sacred device, for the Sega Dreamcast, featuring interviews with 3 of its creators, Hino, Kobayashi, and Akashi. The page includes screenshots and concept art of the game, showcasing characters, a battleship, and action sequences. The developers discussed the game's creation. Hino focused on the story and scenario, collaborating with several writers. Kobayashi, drawn by the Dreamcast's capabilities, designed the opening movie storyboards, towns, dungeons, bosses, and mecha, emphasizing the detailed CG battleship. Akashi, captivated by the characters, tasked especially with enhancing their visual appeal. He notes the game's strategic importance for the Dreamcast launch, leading to a focused narrative. This interview features Toshio Akashi and Osamu Kobayashi, game creators working on an unnamed title, likely Evolution, the world of sacred device. Akashi, director at Senso Design Studio, is overseeing visuals, including character and warship modeling and animation. Kobayashi, known for his character and setting designs in other works, is involved in direction and town/mecha design. The game leverages the Dreamcast's 3D capabilities, focusing on polygon-based animation and translating 2D drawing styles to 3D. They praise the console's user-friendly features and ability to handle close object proximity. The interview highlights the game's impressive visuals and the success of character portrayal in 3D. They also mention the challenges of a tight development schedule and the addition of character interactions, enabled by the Dreamcast's features. This page delves into Evolution to Far Eden, a Dreamcast RPG, through an interview with its development staff. They discuss the challenges of creating the game's graphics and animation, aiming for high-quality 3D models that could emote effectively. The team recounts initial difficulties with camera work and character expression, but ultimately achieved better-than-expected results. A section highlights Linnea, the heroine, and how her expressiveness was enhanced through animation, making her a popular character despite being designed as a non-talking girl, with her emotions conveyed visually rather than through dialogue. The team from ESP also reflects on the collaborative development process, mentioning how everyone worked hard, especially the president, Miroji, and how they felt this project represented their best work to date, highlighting their teamwork and dedication to creating a compelling RPG for the Dreamcast. The page also includes storyboards from the game. This page is a special interview focusing on the Dreamcast RPG Evolution to Far Eden. The developers, Hino, Akashi, and Kobayashi, are discussing the development process. They talk about how the character Eugen's personality was influenced by the scenario writing, and how the game's story was shaped by collaborative discussions to solidify character images. They also mention the Dreamcast's capabilities, highlighting how the hardware allowed them to render detailed 3D polygon characters and explore real-time polygon graphics in the game, aiming to bridge the gap between illustrations and in-game models to better express character performance. This page details gameplay mechanics of the Dreamcast RPG Sengoku Turb, focusing on how player choices influence battles and character interactions. Choices in drama scenes impact soldier stats and personalities, like in Episode 1, where yes choices lead to a Athen personality and mischief tokens, while no choices result in Oro and Anarchy Deba weapons. Episode 2 shows choices affecting commander types, influencing future events. Episode 11 reveals that certain dialogue options impact enemy strength, offering Challenger, stronger enemies, Stranger, random strong enemies, and Ordinary, unchanged. Episode 15 covers Radeon Goods, with choices providing hints for a later quest. Another aspect of Episode 15 presents God's Question, with answers presented as Gu Hollow Circle, Choki Hollow Circle, and Pa Hollow Circle. Finally, it details a unique way to revive dead cat soldiers using the Fuafuaran item in camp mode, a mechanic not usually available in the game. This page is the Turb Antenna Holders Battleground Turb fan page from Jinochan Times, a section dedicated to fan submissions about something called Turb. The highlight of the week is a piece called Dreamlike Living from Neko Shogun, who writes about wanting to escape harsh reality and live in a dream world of inner peace. There's a spirited projects section showcasing ideas for Turb merchandise from readers, such as Sonora Face-style green lens sunglasses, a Tainyan-shaped drink container where you drink from the head, a Tainyan-shaped hanger, a monster-like multi-plug socket called DAPA consent, a Tainyan eraser that breaks as you use it, a Battle Turbi music tape, and a Dako-chan strap. Another section, finally arrived, Turb World I Saw in Town, features a reader's story about catching a snake in kindergarten and relating that experience to seeing Turb World. Finally, there's information about submitting content to Genotai and a fanbook. Reader participation is open for illustrations, character fan calls which include contests, and favorite character lines. They are also open to new project proposals and provide the submission address to SoftBank Publishing Dreamcast Magazine editorial department, addressed to the Genotai fanbook section. This page is an interview with Noritaka Funamizu from Capcom, discussing Capcom's Dreamcast strategy. The interview is titled, "It's Not Over Yet," and covers topics including online gaming on the Dreamcast and upcoming Capcom titles. Funamizu mentions that Capcom is releasing Dreamcast versions of Power Stone, Marvel vs. Capcom, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He talks about the challenges of implementing online multiplayer for fighting games on Dreamcast, specifically for Street Fighter 03. Street Fighter Alpha 3 internationally. He explains that while real-time online fighting may be difficult due to latency, they are exploring ways to utilize the Dreamcast's online capabilities. He also mentions that the development of the Dreamcast version of Power Stone is progressing well and is around 40% complete. The Saturn version of Street Fighter 03 is about 20% complete, and they expect it to be finished around April. Funamizu emphasizes that Capcom wants to create titles that will motivate people to buy a Dreamcast, and they are receiving a lot of feedback from fans requesting original content and online features for their Dreamcast games. The page also features screenshots from Power Stone and what appears to be Street Fighter 03. There is a section where Funamizu comments on a VMU charm accessory. Capcom announced several upcoming Dreamcast titles. Power Stone, a near-perfect arcade port, is available now, encouraging use of a PC monitor for optimal visuals. Marvel vs. Capcom is slated for March 25th. Featuring a Dreamcast exclusive, Cross Fever Mode, Street Fighter 03, Alpha 3, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, both versus fighters, are planned, with release dates and prices pending. Biohazard Code, Veronica, Resident Evil Code, Veronica, a survival horror title, is also in development. An interview with Power Stone producer Takeshi Tezuka discusses the game and hints at a sequel, potential collaborations with Sega characters, and projects like Street Fighter 2 I-3rd, and Strider Hiryu 2. This page is part of a special series about Dreamcast peripherals, focusing on the Dreamcast controller and the pursuit of its design as the second installment. The article discusses the concept behind the controller's design, starting with the phrase, "from hand-to-hand communication to the ultimate form." It highlights the challenges in creating a new controller for the next generation of game consoles, referencing the Sega Saturn era and the introduction of the multi-controller for Nights into Dreams in 1996. Sega's second development department, responsible for peripherals, embarked on creating a completely new controller, aiming to offer new ways to play. The article mentions the development codename S-Seed for the Dreamcast controller. It details the specifications, stating it is model HKT7701, with dimensions of 140mm width, 150mm length, and 67mm thickness, including protrusions. It weighs 265 grams and has a 2-meter cable, priced at 2,500 yen, excluding tax. The article also touches upon the technical advancements of the Dreamcast controller, emphasizing the desire to move beyond the 8-bit era connection terminals that had remained unchanged for over a decade. The new controller aimed for a communication method capable of transmitting 20 times more data, including voice data for voice communication, which they refer to as play and communication, suggesting a system involving LCD screens and sound output. The next page, titled Dreamcast Peripherals Story, PART2, Design Pursuit, is about turning ideas into shape through design sketches and numerous mock-ups for the Dreamcast controller. The initial concept of a 3D input controller was abandoned in favor of focusing on traditional controller operability. The text discusses the addition of Maple Bus, memory to the controller, analog sticks, and directional buttons. Early designs included considerations for compact analog sticks and directional buttons, but ultimately, 6 buttons were deemed necessary. The page highlights the concept of expansion slots on both the top and bottom of the controller to insert memory or other peripherals. Several controller mock-up images showcase different design iterations, including controllers with a prominent grip and various button arrangements, with some described as meat pie or UFO-like shapes, with analog sticks, directional buttons, and 2 expansion slots, and 6 buttons being essential design elements. This page is about the design story of the Dreamcast controller, focusing on the decision to reduce the number of face buttons from 6 to 4. The text explains that, initially, there was a debate about whether 6 buttons were necessary, especially as Sega's 6-button controller for previous consoles was well received. However, there was a strong opinion that 6 buttons were essential. Despite this, creators within and outside of Sega felt that reducing the buttons would make the controller more user-friendly. Ultimately, it was decided to go with 4 buttons. The article also describes the design process involving clay models and numerous sketches to refine the controller's shape and feel. The design aimed for a standard and easy-to-use feel, moving away from more unconventional controller designs, with the themes being a bold challenge and a standard design. The text mentions the slots on top of the controller, initially intended for expansion slots, which were changed to 2 serial slots during development. This page is about the design process of the Dreamcast controller, specifically Part 2 focusing on design pursuit. It's titled, Try and Error Many Design Proposals. The article discusses the various design attempts for the Dreamcast controller. It mentions that the visual memory screen was initially designed to protrude outwards. During the design process, the idea of incorporating a window into the controller's design emerged. This concept of a window gradually shaped the controller towards its final form. The text explains that there were considerations about making the window from acrylic to achieve transparency. The designers repeatedly refined both the aesthetic and structural aspects. They considered how changing a part of the design would affect the overall feel and operability. Through numerous trials and errors, they gradually honed the design to reach its final appearance. The page also highlights key features of the controller design, such as top and bottom 2 expansion slots. The mock-up shows 2 expansion slots at the front, although they aren't opened for the mock-up, operating feeling regardless of left and right. The controller is designed for comfortable operation with either hand. It emphasizes the similar operating feel for both the analog stick, directional keys, and direction buttons, making it user-friendly for both right and left-handed players. The phrase, right hand or left hand, is okay, reinforces this point. The Dreamcast controller's design underwent significant refinement, detailed in Dreamcast Peripheral Story, Shape is a Further Dream. A key challenge was the front-heavy feel, addressed by moving the cable from the front to the back, improving weight distribution and perceived lightness. Early designs used front-mounted cables, but the shift was a critical improvement. The design process employed 3D CAD for motion models, leading to approximately 40 to 50 shape variations. These CAD mockups, precisely machined with button placement, were iterated upon with adjustments down to 1/100th millimeter. Prototypes were provided to game developers, and feedback led to continued adjustments in grip and button placement, even after the initial unveiling at the Sega New Challenge Conference in May 1998. This page is from Dreamcast Peripheral Story Part 2 Design Pursuit, and focuses on the design of the Dreamcast controller. It highlights the completion of the controller's design and the emphasis on making it feel natural and comfortable in the hand. The designers focused on user-friendliness, ensuring the controller was intuitive to use, mentioning that hand feel was a crucial element. The design process involved repeated revisions and adjustments based on user feedback and the desire to create a controller that felt natural and allowed for easy and accurate inputs. The button placement and grip are mentioned as key aspects of the design. The next issue will preview the visual memory unit. The next page is about Oratorio Tangram Truth of Justice, focusing on the VR development side of things. It mentions the 5th plant, called Deadly Dudley, and the 8th plant, Fresh Refo, also known as FR08. The article discusses the challenges of developing new VR technology to counter the RNA faction, especially after a 2-year gap in technical progress. It highlights the efforts of the 3rd plant, Mooney Valley, MV03, focusing on strengthening the DNA faction by improving existing older VR models like the MBV04 Temjin and SAV07 Belgdor, while also producing new units. The story talks about the conflict between RNA and DNA forces, noting that while DNA's numerical strength increased, the actual battlefield situation was still unfavorable due to RNA's continuous attacks. It mentions the FR08 plant recognizing the severity of the situation and changing their strategies. Plants like Deadly Dudley, DD05, and Reference Point, RP07, are mentioned as being involved in the project, with DD-05 being a key terminal plant located in lunar orbit. The article touches upon the development of HBV-05 old-type radon and its high cost, and ultimately moves on to the development of the improved HBV-10 Dolkas as a second-generation VR to address these issues and be effective in combat. This page showcases Cybertrooper's Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. The text delves into the development and background of the FR-08 VR, detailing its origins as a reimagining of the HBV-05 old-type radon design concept. It explains the competitive landscape between VR developers like DD-05 and FR-08, with FR-08 succeeding in developing the second-generation VR. The text mentions that DD-05 tried various tactics to sell their new models, but ultimately faced setbacks, partly due to the success of HBV-502 and the political and technical challenges. The narrative also touches on the conflict between DNA and RNA, impacting the terminal plant and leading to the demise of DD-05, whose former headquarters is now called Unholy Cathedral. It concludes by noting that FR-08 also suffered, as a major VR supplier was lost, impacting their conflict with DNA and RNA, and making it increasingly difficult to secure initiative chips. This page introduces two variations of the Radon mecha. The first one, HBV-502H Radon, is described as a second-generation heavy combat virtual robot, developed by Plant 5. It's noted for its powerful firepower and unique fragment claw weapon system, despite being somewhat delicate in operation. The second mecha is the RVR-75 Radon 2, a variant supplied to RNA. While visually similar to the DNA's Radon, it has minor differences in its operating system, and is also effective in defensive combat. The page also explains the format of the VR machine codes, breaking it down into three sections: combat classification, development code, and model type, using HBU-502H as an example, and showing how each part of the code signifies specific information, like plant number and model details. This page showcases Cybertrooper's Virtual On Oratorio Tangram, featuring detailed line art of the Radon Virturoid in two configurations: binary rotor type and fragment claw type. Below the artwork, there's a tactical classification code list outlining different Virturoid types: MBV, Main Battle Virturoid; HBV, Heavy Battle Virturoid; SAV, Support Attack Virturoid; SGV, Special Gospel Virturoid; and XBV, Experimental Battle Virturoid. The page also includes several detailed notes in Japanese, explaining aspects of the game's lore and design, referencing the development history of the Radon model and its role in the game's universe. A small in-game screenshot labeled DD-05 VCA 4-year depicts a battle arena environment. Finally, a next issue preview at the bottom teases the RVR-14 Feiyen the Night and hints at delving into the mysteries of RNA. The next page is a content page for Sega Saturn magazine from March 12, 1999. It lists the contents of the magazine, including sections like the Sega Saturn magazine data station on page 177 and the Sega Saturn reader race on page 178. A special report is highlighted, followed by Derby Stallion on page 182. The Coming Soon Soft section features Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series, Volume 3, Tabidachi no Uta, on page 186, Kiss Yori, on page 188, Super Pachipai Secret Album, on page 190, and Sega Saturn Software Reviews on page 191. Two anime-style girls are illustrated prominently on the page. This page showcases Sega Saturn game rankings and release schedules. The top left section lists the best-selling Sega Saturn games, with Sakura Wars Imperial Assault graphic at number 1, followed by Girl Doll Toy and Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Ambition War Instruction. The top right section ranks anticipated upcoming Saturn titles, with Sonic 3D Flicky's Island leading, followed by Dungeons & Dragons Collection, and Woos. The bottom half of the page is a release schedule calendar for Sega Saturn games. Notable upcoming titles mentioned include Device Reign, Dungeons & Dragons Collection, Sengoku Blade, and Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3. Many titles are slated for release in February, March, and April of 1999 and beyond, and cover various genres including action, RPG, adventure, simulation, and others. This page presents the odds table Saturn A for February 26th, showcasing a reader-voted ranking of Sega Saturn software, totaling 1136 games at the time of publication. The ranking is based on average scores from reader votes and is described as a real-time reflection of player opinion. The table lists games with their current and previous ranks, game titles, genres, and average scores. It's highlighted that this is a reader's race corner for Saturn games and reflects the ongoing popularity and interest in the Saturn library. This page is a review of the Sega Saturn game Marika, Truth of the World, developed by Fairy Tail and published by Victor Entertainment. The review score is 8.9705 from readers and 6.0 from the magazine staff. The game is described as a role-playing game for mature audiences, rated 18 and over. The review highlights the deep themes and the engaging story, focusing on social drama with vulnerable characters. It mentions the game's command-based battle system and impressive character graphics. The check section points out the game's strength in portraying social drama and human relationships. Reader comments praise the deep story and engaging development, mentioning its high quality despite not having major standout features, highlighting the character and scenario writing as strengths, and recommending it for enjoying a dramatic experience. The developers' comments thank readers for their support of Marika, stating it was a turning point for them, and they are particularly proud of the dialogue and character portrayals. The page also features a Reader's Saturn B ranking table, which is a popularity chart of Sega Saturn games as voted by readers. Some of the top-ranked games listed include Fighters Megamix, Pocket Fighter, Magical Knight Ray Earth, and Puzzle Bobble 3. The table lists many more games with their genre and average reader score. This page presents a ranking chart for Sega Saturn games, titled Osu Hayo Saturn C, which translates to Recommended Chart Saturn C. It's a popularity ranking based on reader votes and data up to the latest week. The chart lists games with their ranks, previous ranks, game titles, genres, and average scores. It includes a wide variety of Saturn games, showing the popularity of different genres at the time. Many genres are represented, such as SLG simulation, ACT action, RPG role-playing game, ADV adventure, SPT sports, RAC racing, PUZ puzzle, SHT shooting, tab table, QIZ quiz, and etc., etc. The ranking includes titles like FIDA, The Emblem of Justice, The Tower, World Cup 98 France Road to Win, King of Fighters 97, Sakura Wars 2, Policenauts, Virtua Fighter 2, Sega Rally Championship, Daytona USA, Radiant Silvergun, Guardian Heroes, Grandia, Dragon Force 2, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Astal, Bulk Slash, and Burning Rangers, among many others. The chart provides a snapshot of popular Sega Saturn titles at the time of publication, likely reflecting reader preferences and game performance. This page features two Sega Saturn ranking lists and a contest. Odds Ranking Saturn D lists Saturn games with associated odds values, likely reflecting popularity or price, across various genres like RPGs and shooters. Noteworthy titles include Radiant Silvergun and Guardian Heroes. The second list, Sega Saturn Peripheral Equipment Odds Ranking, ranks Saturn accessories, with the Virtua Stick Pro and Sega Saturn floppy disk drive topping the list. The page also details the Dreamcast and Saturn Readers Race, a competition with two parts. Readers can predict the ranking of Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse and the odds value of Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2. Prizes include Dreamcast arcade sticks, visual memory units, and Saturn/Dreamcast games, with an entry deadline of March 4th. This page introduces Derby Stallion, a horse racing simulation game for Sega Saturn. It's presented as a special report highlighting that the game is 90% complete and serves as a beginner's guide to the Dabisuta series. The article explains the basic gameplay cycle: breeding, training, racing, and retirement. Screenshots illustrate each stage, from selecting breeding partners to training schedules and races on both turf and dirt tracks. The guide is designed to help newcomers understand the core mechanics of raising and racing horses to conquer all GI races. It also mentions the game is for one player, supports all ages, and will be released on March 25th for 6,800 yen as a horse racing simulation. This page is a special report for the Sega Saturn game Derby Stallion. It reveals new stallions and broodmares in the game. The page details different aspects of horse racing within the game, including when horses can start racing at 3 years old in July, retirement for older or injured horses, and the Hall of Fame entry for horses that win at least 3 GI races. The page also showcases profiles of various horses with their stats and lineage, like Shadowheart, Kaiserheart, and Createheart. Finally, it announces a special commemorative edition hardware release for the game, including a Sega Saturn Derby Stallion version with a special skeleton blue color, a controller called ASCII Grip X Derby Stallion set, and stickers, all available on the same day as the game's release and priced at 20,000 yen. A PlayStation version of the game is also mentioned. The next page introduces the concept of bee breeding stallions, emphasizing 3 key points for players. Firstly, parameters are crucial, especially speed and stamina, which influence the offspring of the breeding stallions. Secondly, these stallions can be acquired at auction. Thirdly, they have a lifespan, meaning they can die, adding an element of realism and risk. The page showcases several breeding stallions, with names like Soft Ecurea, Maria Cannon, Blue Return, Hamano Frisia, Panel Discussion, Pool Galmats, Little Romance, Sugar Babe, Brand Touch, Venus Line, Sleazy Step, Colundum, Misodopian, Oval Coin, Mander Morning, and Pollux. Each stallion has a brief description highlighting their strengths and characteristics, often mentioning bloodlines and suitable breeding strategies. For example, some stallions are described as having strong speed lineage or stamina lineage, while others might be recommended for covering weaknesses in mares. Prices for these stallions are also listed, ranging from 600,000 yen to 27 million yen, suggesting a variety of options depending on budget and breeding goals in the game, likely Derby Stallion on Sega Saturn. The next page is focused on Derby Stallion, a horse racing simulation game featuring an article section titled, Parameter is Not Everything. It seems to be a guide or overview of different types of stallions in the game, providing details about their characteristics and suitability for breeding. The page showcases a list of stallions with their names like Alkang, El Harp, Opera House, Commander-in-Chief, Star of Cuisine, Toike Teo, Hishima-sao, Flays, Mahiro McQueen, Ibuki Maikagura, Al Wodovic, Sakura Bakushin O, Splash of Color, Hai Este It, Biwa Hayahide, White Muzzle, Yamanen Zephyr, Winning Ticket, Callisto Glory, Shanghai, Celestial Allstorm, Paradise Creek, Fardinanto, Fuji Kiseki, Mahiro Palmer, River's Wish, Black Type Fair, Kodashan, Silver Ending, Dyna Letter, Hunting Hawk, and Mihono Bourbon. For each stallion there is a picture, parameter ratings, and a short description of their traits, strengths, and weaknesses in the game context, which is useful for players looking to understand how to use these stallions for breeding. It gives an overview of how different stallions perform and what kind of offspring they are likely to produce. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3, Tabidachi no Uta, a youth adventure title from Konami. The game is stated to be 100% complete and was scheduled for release on April 1st, priced at 8,800 yen, and available in a special box edition only. It's a single-player game, centered around the themes of graduation and farewells. The page details 2 minigames within Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3 to train the main character for a marathon competition. The marathon game involves pressing A, C, L, and B buttons alternately to control the character's pace, aiming for a balance between speed and stamina. The cooking game is also introduced as a minigame where players must cook, using timed actions and following recipes, implying the use of an internal body clock. The preview shows screenshots and descriptions of both minigames, highlighting their gameplay mechanics. The marathon game focuses on managing pace and stamina, while the cooking game seems to test the player's timing and recipe knowledge. This page is showcasing the Sega Saturn version of Tabidachi no Yuta in a special box edition called the Graduation Commemoration Set. This special set includes a large poster and a mini-album. The page details several minigames within Tabidachi no Yuta. The Human Words game involves communicating with a crow by inputting spoken phrases correctly and quickly. The Aerobics game is a rhythm-based game where players must press buttons at the right time to keep a character smiling during aerobics. The guitar game features songs such as Rainbow Love Song, Tomorrow Only You, and Rain Like Tomorrow, and it appears to be a guitar-based rhythm game. Lastly, the Bento game challenges players to create lunchboxes for soccer club members, matching their preferences within a time limit. The character Akina Minori is also introduced, described as a character from the drama series, who is strong-willed and relatable. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn game Kiss Yori, a romance-adventure game where the player experiences a summer love story. The advertisement emphasizes the snapshot function, which allows players to capture in-game moments and create a personal album of memories. It highlights the game's high 95% completion rate at the time of the advert, and mentions a campaign where 1,000 lucky pre-order customers will receive an original bus cloth as a bonus. The game is set to be released on March 18th, with a regular edition price of 6,800 yen and is suitable for all ages. Screenshots show in-game scenes, camera icons, and special menu options, with character names such as Hirose Nanami, Sugita Chi, Kashiwazaki Rei, and Kashiwazaki Hitomi, along with scenario titles like This Summer's Biggest Big Wave. This page is a Sega Saturn press release announcing a new game centered around summer memories. It introduces 6 female characters: Asaoka Chihiro, who is in a romantic night scene, Kashiwazaki Rei in a nightclub setting, Hisata Chihiri working in a restaurant and enjoying soft-serve ice cream, Hayasaka Miku scolding her dog Pixin in a park, Yamasaki Kana, who is always helping people, and Hirose Nanami seen at the beach. The dialogue snippets suggest romantic scenarios and interactions with a male protagonist named Suitengu Hanzo. As a pre-order bonus, the first 1,000 people to purchase the game will receive a limited edition bath clock featuring Miku's illustration, described as a premium compulsory timepiece. It's clearly promoting an upcoming Sega Saturn title focused on summer romance and character interactions. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn game Waku Waku Tsuchipai Chat de Oshibari, which is part of the Tsuchipai series and is described as a secret album. It is a communication game where you interact with 4 girls, Kyuko, Yuki, Mali, and Milky Pie, all fully voiced. The page highlights several minigames within Waku Waku Tsuchipai Chat de Oshibari, such as Chat with Girls, where you choose a girl and initiate a conversation, Dressing Up, where you can customize their outfits, and a screensaver feature with chibi characters. Other modes mentioned include Tsuchi Dictionary, which seems to be a glossary of terms, Lilim-chan's Tsuchi Cult Q, described as a quiz game, and a Tsuchi Pai Gallery, to view illustrations from the series. The game is published by Jaleco and was scheduled for release on March 18th, priced at 4,800 yen. It's advertised as a variety game. There is also a section that teases a health interview with voice actors Mika Kanai and Miki Takahashi, who voice Tsuchi Pai and Tsuchi Yuki respectively, hinting at behind-the-scenes information. This page previews upcoming Sega Saturn software. It includes reviews for 2 games, Dungeons & Dragons Collection, released on March 4th, and Senkin Kyuden, also released on March 4th. Dungeons & Dragons Collection is highlighted with screenshots of gameplay, showcasing its action-oriented nature. Reviewers praise the game's faithful port from the arcade versions, noting that boss patterns and item locations are accurately reproduced. The graphics and sound are also considered well done. The review mentions it includes 2 games and expresses slight disappointment that only 2 players can play simultaneously. Overall, it's rated favorably, with scores of 7 and 8 out of 10 from different reviewers. Senkin Kyuden is described as a Taiwanese-made RPG with a unique Asian atmosphere, distinct from Japanese RPGs. Reviewers comment on the story and characters having an Asian flavor. While some find the controls slightly clunky due to 4-directional movement, the overall game is considered enjoyable, especially for those seeking a different RPG experience. It's given scores of 6 and 4 out of 10 by different reviewers. The page also features reviewer comments from different perspectives. Female users, with opinions from Deguchi Kaori and REI, responsible writers with comments from Utomo Jun and Ishiban, and guest writers with Manjuru's viewpoint. These sections provide brief insights into the games from various gamer types. This page is an interview with Mr. Toshiro from Imagineer, discussing their strategy for the Dreamcast. The keywords highlighted are communication and hardware. Mr. Toshiro talks about the Dreamcast being a powerful console suitable for high-quality games, and Imagineer's focus on bringing their PC games to the platform, emphasizing they want to create games that are genuinely fun. He mentions the Dreamcast's online capabilities as a key feature they are interested in exploring for future games. There is also a Dreamcast Present section, where they are giving away 2 types of telecards as prizes, featuring characters from the visual novel adventure games Desire and Eve Burst Error. 3 winners will be selected, with the deadline for entry being March 4th. This page is an advertisement for Shining Force 2i merchandise. It announces the upcoming release of the official setting material collection, which will cover scenarios 13 of the game, featuring character profiles, settings, original artwork used in the game, setting materials, creator interviews, and posters. It is scheduled for release at the end of February. Additionally, the page promotes a SoftBank card collection for Shining Force 2i, featuring the Brave Warriors, described as a collection item with 120 or more types of cards, including trading cards, movie cards, illustration cards, and special cards A and B. This card collection is slated for release in mid-March. The price for the card packs and boxes are also listed. This lesson from the LA Machine Gun Special Training Course introduces the team behind the game. The Sega AMR&D Department, Number 3, aims to create culturally significant games, referencing Sega's 100th anniversary. The characters include Watari, the producer, focused on manners; Mayama, a programmer known for his lazy personality; and Kanazawa, the AD, struggling with the stresses of game development. The lesson also features designer Nishikawa, emphasizing his dedication to speed, impactful visuals, and a manly warfare aesthetic. Nishikawa's design philosophy prioritizes fashion, functionality, and lifestyle. His strong work ethic and influence push the team to create something innovative, even affecting colleagues like designer Hatayama and their boss. This page is a report on a public score attack showdown featuring the game Gun Griffon 2, known in Japan as Gunno. The first player, Makeyama, is described as a dedicated player who practiced extensively. He used a strategy involving ground and air troops and achieved a score of 803,268 points. Mayama focused on combo attacks, but ultimately lost due to the combo being interrupted. The second player, Kanazawa, analyzed Mayama's play and adopted a strategy emphasizing combos and quickly reaching the home base. Kanazawa utilized heavy weaponry and achieved a score of 1,184,947 points. He achieved a 27x combo against the boss, surpassing Mayama's 19x combo, and won with a comfortable margin. The section titled Loser Game Dog's End details the aftermath of the match. Kanazawa playfully teased Mayama about his loss, and Mayama expressed disappointment about losing his game data. In a surprising turn, they decided to delete Mayama's save data. After the data deletion, when Mayama restarted the game, his character was named Makaze. The final results show Masayama and Kanazawa, each with 2 wins and 2 losses in the overall competition. The next event is announced as the final showdown, encompassing all stages of the game. This page is a declaration titled, Games Are Still Interesting, from the magazine's editor, Osamu Kuwabara. It features a stylized image of an eye, described as a game viewing eye, meant to represent the perspective needed to understand both games and the industry. The text discusses the magazine's editorial policy and a passion for games, mentioning past work at Beat Magazine and the commitment to deliver engaging content. The page promotes the magazine's comprehensive Dreamcast coverage, highlighting titles like Dreamcast Complete Preview, Biohazard Horror Encyclopedia, and Ridge Racer Type 4 as examples of their focus. The image caption suggests the magazine aims to feature games beyond just commercially driven titles. The next page presents the weekly horoscope titled Dreamcastrology for February 26th to March 4th. It covers all 12 zodiac signs, from Aries to Pisces, offering insights into financial, health, love, and work luck for both boys and girls of each sign. Each sign also has an advice section suggesting lucky items or actions. For example, Aries is advised to use silver and calm colors, while Taurus should look for blue and round items. The horoscope uses a color-coded system to indicate luck levels: red for very good, green for normal, and blue for so-so. The Lucky Person of the Week section features Emilio Mihilov from Psychic Force 2012, highlighting people born under this sign and cautioning about communication during the week. This page is showcasing the Praise Garden Amusement Prize event, encouraging players to get exciting items at amusement centers. It highlights Take Chan's Generous Present, running from July to September, featuring brand new items. There's also a February prize goods list mentioning Corduroy World and Troy World series, with items like teddy bear and panda plush toys, frog key holders, and more. The page also details how to apply for the Take Chan's Generous Present giveaway by sending a postcard with personal details and prize preferences by March 12th. Comic strips illustrate the prize creation process and characters discussing UFO catcher prizes and plush toys. The featured prize series is called Prize Garden Volume 1. This page is an advertisement showcasing upcoming merchandise for Dreamcast and related properties, set to be released between July and September. Featured are Sonic Adventure keychain figures, with Sonic and his friends looking cool as keychains. For Sakura Wars 2, there's a second volume of Super Jumbo plush toys series. Virtua on Oratorio Tangram is getting both detailed collection figures and Super Jumbo plush toys. The plush versions are noted for their cute, deformed head designs, suitable for UFO catchers. There's also a cartoon revival section, highlighting Super Jumbo plush toys of various characters including Acene, Lambchop, Harvey Comics Classics characters, Calimero, Mama to Asobo, Pinpon Pan, and Momotaro Densetsu series. The advert concludes by teasing that many new characters will be appearing in merchandise from July to September. Dreamcast Magazine is holding a reader prize giveaway with 4 categories. First prize offers 20 winners, a choice of any Dreamcast game released before March 12, 1999. Second prize is an Idol Janshi Tsuchipai secret album poster, 5 winners. Third prize is the Mahjong game Yoshimoto to Mahjong Yarakubu, 1 winner. Fourth prize is a Gantakun Mek card, worth 500 yen, 5 winners. The page also announces winners from a previous giveaway and previews the upcoming Volume 10 issue, releasing March 5th. This issue will cover Power Stone and Psychic Force 2012 strategies, new releases, and Grand Prix awards. Additional features will cover a range of games. The magazine itself releases on March 19th and includes staff credits and contact information. This page is an advertisement for Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2 on Dreamcast. It highlights the release date as March 11th and the price of 5,800 yen. The advert boasts about the realistic recreation of the Monaco street circuit, focusing on arcade and simulation modes with real racing car physics and tire wear. It mentions various game modes and the inclusion of 1950s retro cars in a retro mode. The game features 17 courses and 11 teams, including circuits in Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Argentina, San Marino, Monaco, Spain, UK, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Japan, Europe, and Austria. The advert also shows the logos of Bridgestone, Castrol, TAG Heuer, UBI Soft, and Automobile Club de Monaco, and mentions that technical supervision was provided by the Renault F1 team of France. It supports racing controllers, VGA output, and force feedback. This page seems to be an advertisement for a product called Friends Springtime Shine. It is advertised as a youthful sparkle and is scheduled to be released on April 8, 1999. The price is 7,200 yen for a 2-CD set. The advertisement mentions it is a first production limited special bonus. The art style and the text bubbles suggest it's likely a visual novel or a similar type of game. The text in the bubbles are character dialogues, expressing emotional feelings and questions about love and relationships. The bottom of the page credits Fairy Tale, NEC Interchannel, and mentions it's a digital picture collection for Friends.